So how's it going? How's everyone doing? Have you been having fun over the weekend? Cataloging photos and finding stuff in your photos to share, to save. While we're waiting for people to all show up, if you have anything you want to share about questions you have or things that you've been going through.
I have a question for you, which was my first question on the very first day on my photos and that big hunk of duplicate photos I have under iPhotos. I have now backed up iPhotos separately, all the good photos separately. I have a time machine. Can I just delete iPhoto now?
Let me be clear. I remember you said you had a lot of organized photos. I wasn't aware, I don't remember hearing that they were duplicate. They are duplicate photos?
Well, in iPhoto, there are all a duplicate of any of the older photos.
Oh,
I mean, the ones I'm taking now aren't in there, but when one of the system changes, it created this big iPhotos folder with all these, you know, my trip to Austria is under there, and then it's under my international trips as well. And
okay, so yeah, that's the question I was having. So what you're referring to is that you already have these photos in your original iPhoto library, and then when you created the new one, this library was imported, and it's called basically iPhoto photos, and they're all organized under the way you had them organized in the past. But you also have a new organization of them now in your photos that you called international trips?
Under iPhotos, they're not in folders and subfolders anymore. They're just subfolders. So there isn't international trips Austria, you know, with the folder Austria underneath it. It just says Austria and Germany and France, and you know, there's no international.
While people are checking in, why don't you share your screen, and that way I can be specific. I'm hesitant to say go ahead and delete it.
Yeah.
Be in charge of doing something really bad to your stuff. So I want to see what you're saying before I actually say, yeah, you don't need them.
Okay. Diana?
Yes.
Oh, I had a power outage, and I had such a hard time getting on and trying to set up my pictures, and I get the circle, you know, that circle, rainbow circle, and it's just it's stuck. But I had such a hard time getting on Zoom, so I'm glad I'm here. But it was so frustrating. Over
on Zoom now.
Half an hour trying to get on.
Well, the class wasn't open until just now. Is that what you mean by having a hard time getting on, or just connecting to the internet?
Connecting. I had a hard time with the.
Because if no one's class is open, then you wouldn't be able to get in, right?
No, it was other things.
You would sit in the waiting room.
Yeah.
So
and also with my pictures, I had that same problem of it seems maybe corrupt, or maybe.
Yeah, I remember
power outage.
A couple of times you've shared with me outside of class and inside of class, and at the beginning you had that problem, and that's something that I think is more with respect to what's happening to your computer. It's not a photos problem, right? It's I think it's more of a system-wide problem that we talked about, and yet the third meeting we had, everything was working fine with you. So if it's an intermittent problem, it would be very hard for me to be able to diagnose what's happening.
I just wanted you to be aware of my situation.
I'm sorry to hear that that's going on. And you might want to make an appointment with you've done this before. You've checked in with Apple on the phone. I wanted to say this to everyone because Molly's the first one who told me about this. You know, a while ago, it used to be you would only get support from Apple if you had a special package you paid, but now if you call Apple, they're very, very helpful, and it isn't dependent on whether you're paying or not for that special package, and they will look at your computer. They'll take over, kind of like I do sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful. You just watch them.
So, you know, you're going to get on the phone and get through to them, and they'll send you a link you click, and much like we do now with Zoom,
oh yes,
they'll just take over, and with you, they'll help you diagnose what's wrong. And then beyond that, if they can't fix it, then they'll tell you, you know, whether you need to actually send the computer in, or you can call Mac Mechanic and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what I just wanted everyone to know that, because Molly told me about this, I don't know, 2-3 years ago now,
Oh,
And
yes,
you
that's a
terms of
problem.
service, but now you can all
Mhm.
do that too.
Okay, I'll
So
do the
do you
best
want
I
to share your
can.
screen
Yes.
with me?
Sure. Okay, I'm actually now seeing it differently than I was before, but if you go across, there's Garden and House, 2 albums, iPhoto events, and then all these other,
Yeah, I I prefer seeing this with a sidebar. Do you mind stretching your window open a bit longer, wider, so that we can see the sidebar, so that I can have a better idea of what's happening? So somebody emailed me too, and I said, well, make sure to see your sidebar. I'm not sure
yeah,
if
okay,
it's
so,
on yet, but when you see your sidebar, you can understand better the difference between albums and folders and things like that. So here, under my albums, see on the left side now, when you see my albums, she has a folder called Garden and House, inside of which there are 2 albums. Can you point to what I'm pointing to? Other than, see,
right
there's a
here.
Garden and House folder holding 2 different Garden and House albums. Now scroll down a bit more, and then she has an iPhoto events.
Okay,
Now, the iPhoto events wasn't something she created. This got created for her when she transitioned from iPhotos to photos. Okay. So then at that point, they were not called albums or whatever. They were called events. And that was something, a word that iPhotos used. And so what happened with those events is that they were turned into albums. Okay. So everything she has under iPhoto events is now an album that she created as an event in iPhotos. And now if you ever had any events in iPhotos, if you didn't have it, you don't have this issue, for better or for worse. But now they're all individual albums. So see how she has Adriatic, Europe, so those are trips, right? So now what you can do with these events is you can reorganize them. You can make a folder called, traveling. And then anything that's from a trip, you can grab these and drag them into those new folders called travel. Right now, can you scroll down under
yeah, now I'll scroll through all these albums, and when we
all
go
things
through
that she's
all
created
these
for
albums,
years? It's very well organized,
yeah,
but
I
it's
go through
almost,
all these albums, yeah.
too much. See what I mean?
Okay, now I'm getting to my old folders.
Mm-hmm. So now, and
Miscellaneous family, photo workshops.
yeah. So now,
All those, and
so
those are all repeat. I mean, everything in iPhotos is repeated. I mean, I checked on zillions of them. They're
okay.
all,
So for example, this cat's Zen and Zoe that you have in here, right?
yeah.
Do you already also have, if you go up to the iPhotos, a Zen and Zoe? You go to the bottom.
Yeah, here it is, right
Zen
here.
and Zoe. Okay. So as long as you check, I would say on 10% of them, and they all seem to be repeated, it would seem to me safe, right? But then again, you're the one who knows. Go to some of the folders that really matter to you. And if so, it would seem to me safe to get rid of these other ones. They're just repeats. So
Okay.
go
So I was just going up
for
to, I was
people
just
who,
doing what you're saying, going up to family.
I know for people who are not understanding what's happening because they're just seeing things slide by, it's a bit hard. Can you scroll up to the top of iPhoto events and just collapse that album for a minute? Just
How do I,
it's
how
called
do I
iPhoto
collapse it?
events.
How do
Just
I
click on
collapse?
the little arrow. No, not my albums, but the iPhoto events, one folder. Click on that album. And yeah, click on that on the little arrow and collapse it.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So if you really pay attention, can you collapse family as well? Collapse your folders.
Oops.
You need to click on the arrow. Yeah. And then photo workshops. Whoops. I stopped seeing your stuff. Hold on. There we go. Trips to North America. So just collapse all your albums.
Okay.
Because I was going to talk more about albums and folders today. So this is a great example because she has many of them. And collapse garden and house. Just
Oh yeah,
collapse.
I hadn't done that. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, if y'all pay attention to what she has under my albums, she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 folders, okay? And one loose album just called favorite photos, all right? Now, this is a big way of organizing her events into things that matters to her in her life, right? And then when you click on each one of these, she has a whole series of albums inside of them. And that was one of the assignments I gave you for this week, was to look at your photos and not only put things in albums, but see if you could create some main folders that described what you care about, what you're interested in, how you would like to organize your things, right? And so in the future, if you're looking for something that happened when you were in Algeria, you might just go to Trips International, and then you don't have to search through everything, right? Now we know, because of the stuff we've done in the past, that if you search for Algeria, it might work, except for the fact that these might be old photos that didn't have a place location on them, right? But she can now open all the ones from each trip and just grab them all and give them all a place and call them all, you know, Paris and stuff like that. And then they'll be findable that way too. I don't know if she wants to do that work or not, but you can go to old photos, select them all and give them a location, right? Or give them all a person's name that's involved in them. We kind of covered that a lot. So what's left is her big folder called iPhoto Events, which was imported from how she transitioned things from iPhotos. Now it would seem, according to her, that inside of the iPhoto Events, there's hundreds of albums. So can you click on the word, just click on the word iPhoto Events, don't open it. If you look up at the very top where it says iPhoto Events in big bold letters, right underneath it, it says 351 albums. You see that? Can you point to that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm showing? See
Yeah.
there, guys? See the 351 albums? So she has a ton of albums in there. Now, if these are already repeated in her organization that she'd underneath Garden and House, Family, Workshops, and Workshops, then that's it. You're welcome to delete the album. Worst case scenarios, the photos won't disappear, just the album, which is just an organization. So the first one, called Adriatic, what you can do is just grab it. Can you grab the Adriatic?
Yeah.
And then drag it to Trips International, for example.
It's already in there.
I know, but that's what I'm going to show. If it's already in there, go ahead and drag it.
Okay.
Drag it in there. Let go. Wait until it turns blue. It didn't turn blue when you let go. So slow down for a minute and show. See how when it turns blue, but wait, yeah, right there. That's where she can let go. And once you let go, wait, yeah, Trips, the one, it would be under Trips International. So it's one more. Now since, you know what, move it out of the way and yeah.
Oh yeah, I see what I did.
Close.
Okay.
So you need to close it again. There we go.
Okay.
So when you hover over that and let go, well, it needs to be blue. Yeah, let go. See how over there she had already Adriatic 506. See how you don't get two now? That's it. If it's already in there, it doesn't repeat twice. So now there she has Adriatic. The next one is, let me see, Europe 63. Can you go down in Trips International under alphabetical order to see if you have?
That was actually in a folder called Old Slides.
Okay.
It wasn't in an international trip.
What I'm trying to say is, as long as you have it, you can drag it. And if it goes in, that means it wasn't there. And if it doesn't go in, it's because it's already duplicated. Then you can just delete it.
Okay, so I would do that with the 350 albums, right?
Yeah, and if you want to be sure, just check. Like here it says Europe 63 slides, but when you look at the little number underneath, it says 266. So somehow you added photos into that. It's not 63 slides anymore. It's
well, they're photos I made from slides. So it's sort of a misnomer. I made digital photos out of slides.
Great. So as long as you understand your meaning for it, and as long as this album is replicated somewhere and you know where it is, it might be under Trips International, or it might be under Old Slides. As long as it's replicated, then this one is safe to get rid of. Okay. So
that's absolutely excellent.
Okay. And then you're fine. And if you're not sure, just drag it in. If you're not sure, just drag it in, and then at least it'll be there, and then it'll be gone, like the Adriatic was gone, right? So then you're safe, and after a while, you'll chisel away at your 350 will become 300, and then if you sit one day and spend many hours, it'll go down to 20, you know, and finally you can get rid of the iPhoto Events and know that everything that you have in there is reorganized. Okay?
Okay. And tell me how I collapse the list so I don't see all the
Click on the little arrow that's next to the folder name. Yep, there you go. So now it's just down to the albums. Now your lists have, your folders have, you have a very well organized, meaning very intricate, detailed organization going on. So it might mean that under photo workshop, once it gets to the point that Trips International has 85 folders, you might want to distribute that into continents or something. You might need to kind of make it a little bit more handleable once you get a ton of stuff, right? Because 350 albums would be too hard to then still search through. You might want to then still bring it down to other major things out there instead. Right now you have garden, miscellaneous, family, work, trip and old slides, which is like 7 albums. You might want to have 15, but that each album doesn't have so many hundreds in there. This is the extreme of organization. And then there's some people who only, based on everything that you saw that Apple can do, you might discover that you're only going to sub-organize to a certain point and let Apple do the rest. It's your choice, but I'm glad you saw an example of someone who really spent a lot of time organizing her photos, because a lot of you guys can do that from now and into the future, but you'd have to spend a lot of time going backwards, gathering all the backwards, in time stuff to organize the way she has, because she's been doing it all along for years and years. So, okay. Thank you for showing that to us, Sue. Do you mind stopping your share?
Yeah, where is, oh, there's stop share. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Great. So how's it going for everyone else? How have you been handling your photos? Has anyone been attempting some big organizational thing like this, or just some small albums? Any feedback, anything you want to share with me about how it's been going?
I have, but I also tried to organize projects, and I don't know, I don't understand that part of it.
Projects is another conversation that we're going to talk about today. So I haven't talked about projects yet at all. So just as a quick answer, you would only have projects if you've created a project that gets to be, for example, a slideshow or a book or a calendar or things that you create with your photos. So it's an actual element that maybe you're going to have printed or something like that. That's what goes under project. So nothing that we've talked about right now qualifies under project. So unless you've created any in the past, your projects should be empty. If you have something in there, it's because in the past you've created one of those things that I just talked about. Now, for people who used iPhotos, and even for photos the first few years, Apple had its own services where you could print photos and things like that, and you would do it like right there under projects. You could make calendars every year. Every Christmas I would put together a calendar that I would give to my mother-in-law with photos of us, the whole family, doing stuff and whatnot. So I have those projects from the past in my projects, but now Apple has stopped offering that service. So when you go to projects and try to make something, it sends you to partner companies that will do that for you. So if you want to make a slideshow or print or something like that, you'll have to link and download connections to other companies. So I'm going to show that when I share my screen, but I want to first find out a little bit more about how it's going on with projects and with albums and folders and keywords and descriptions and titles, all the stuff we've been talking about. Any other thing that's been coming up? Yes, Anne?
I forgot what you said, the little key. There's a little key in the right-hand corner of some of the photos. What does that mean?
It's a little flag that pops up that says that you have given keywords to that photo.
Okay.
So like a little tag that shows up.
Yeah.
And that means that your photo has a keyword. And a keyword, remember, would be those things that you write in there to describe something general about it that would later be something that you could type in the search and help you find photos with that keyword that you inserted.
So for example, I use the metadata for Christmas. I put that in for a keyword and I labeled, but then when I would put Christmas in, it would come up with mine plus a whole bunch more, I guess, that Apple chose from the date of December 25th.
It's possible. Can you share your screen? Because that would be a good example to show when you make a decision and when Apple makes a decision. And you would see they're not all bunched up. It's not like you'll get, oh, wow, which was my choice, which was apple. It would clearly say, if it's a category, it's an apple choice, or if it's something you wrote as a keyword, then it's your choice. And that's how you would distinguish. Have you ever shared your screen?
No, I've never shared it before.
No, so go ahead, and there's underneath on your bar, you see a big
Yeah.
green share screen
Share,
button.
share screen, yes.
And then once that pops up, then on the farthest right, there's a blue button that says share that you need to bottom right.
Share computer sound, optimize screen for share.
At the very, very far right, just a share blue button.
Oh, I see. Share. Okay.
There we go. Okay, and can you open your photos? Oh, your photos isn't open. So go down to photos and open your photos app.
Oh, cute.
There we go. All right, so can you go and type Christmas? Yeah, click on photos first, and then go up and type Christmas at the top to see what you're referring to. Okay, so guys, look. Christmas file name, someone has to have named it file name. It's the computer doesn't rename your file names. So she has 276 things that the file itself was named Christmas. Underneath that is Christmas keyword. Now that is she herself. See how it says 2011 Christmas, 2013 Christmas, 2010 Christmas. If it says keyword, it is something that she created. She snagged a bunch of photos and called them 2010 Christmas, 2013 Christmas, okay? So we know that all of this is decisions she made. Then the Christmas title, she would have had to give that to, and then Matsuko Christmas Party was her. So every one of these choices here under Christmas is things that she assigned. None of this is Apple. You see that there? At some point, she either wrote them as keywords or as titles or as file names, or one that has the album in it. And so this is stuff that she's done to help find, but in none of those has Apple decided, oh, this must be Christmas by date, you know what she suggested, because then here it would say something like that by date. Usually it would see category. Maybe
well, here it said Christmas tree category. Now I've lost it.
So maybe not this time, but some other time it says that. But if it says category, like maybe you need to scroll down a bit more. Oh, there it is, Christmas tree category, perfect. That one, Christmas tree category, 19 photos, that is Apple. If it says category, that's Apple going, oh, I recognize some very obvious thing, like a tree full of lights or maybe a star. Maybe there's certain things that Apple recognizes as this must be Christmas. And so then that one is the only one that's Apple discovering it to be Christmas, which helps if you want to look for something iconic. But in general, you'll be doing pictures of gatherings and people and stuff like that, and only you would know that that was actually Christmas. Maybe it was just a family gathering at that time. So Apple wouldn't label that Christmas. It would only label Christmas the ones that are overtly, like I see a Santa in there. You see that? So it's probably recognizing big red beards and red suits and white beards and calls it Christmas, right? Does that make sense, you guys? Is that pretty clear?
What about, here's that little key or flag, I guess it is.
That is a location. So that means that that one is categorized by location. It means that whenever that one was taken, the camera that shot that did have location services turned on. So if you were to click on that one, that photo does know where it was created.
Okay.
The metadata for that photo does tell you if it was here or in Minnesota or in, Bangladesh. It knows.
And so if it doesn't have a key,
none of these seem to have keywords. Go up to the search again and choose one of the ones that you labeled with keywords. So yeah, Christmas. Those do not seem to be keywords. Go back to Christmas. You had a lot of things with Christmas keywords in there. So go back and write Christmas again. Okay, so see, go down to 2011 Christmas. See that says keyword? Go ahead and click on those. And that's where you see that tag. That tag that looks like a shopping tag or a price tag, guys.
Yeah.
That, if you hover over it, hover over one of those, yeah, it says keywords. So there's keywords in that one. And if you click, it might even tell you which. And it's, 2011 Christmas. That's the keyword you gave to that one. Okay?
Then why isn't the keyword down here? It's still untitled.
Because a keyword is not a title. Only titles go in there. I'm going to show you a bit more where keywords go. I haven't shown you that. But the only thing that goes under a photo would be a title. And those, you gave them keywords, but you didn't give them a title. So that's why there's nothing there. The only way for you to know it has a keyword is because of that little tag. Okay. So if you have a minute, since you have some of these keywords set up, maybe I can show keywords in your image, in your album. You mind if I keep sharing with yours?
It's fine.
Okay, so go up to view, click on that, and then go to window. Then let me see where it shows it. I need to, there, keywords manager. So 4 down, keywords manager, turn that on. Okay, so can you drag this a little bit more to the middle somewhere? And you can make this a little bit bigger. So these are all keywords that she has given. Now, if you scroll down a bit, you'll see all of them, right? So go ahead and kind of put your mouse in there and scroll down to see your keywords. See, these are all keywords she has chosen to give to her photos. Now, you can do a lot of keywords, or you can use them just sparingly, again, as in everything. But if you're only going to have, say, I'm seeing a word Audrey. If you're only going to have one picture of Audrey, it's not worth putting a keyword. But if you have, you know, thousands of pictures of Audrey, then it's a good idea to create a keyword, and then you tag your photos with the word Audrey all the time. That said, places or names of people could also be handled through the faces people tag right now, right? So it's a choice. But in the past, when people wasn't so good at discovering people, I also had tags with, you know, people that I wanted to see. Now it makes more sense to have keywords, for example, 2011 Thanksgiving, because Apple wouldn't know that that's Thanksgiving and that's 2011. So I like keywords to be things that are things that you know about the images, just like we said before, versus things that, you know, Apple can find out by its other systems. So now if you click, for example, on 2011 Thanksgiving, can you click on that? Yeah, just click on it.
Nothing's happening.
Okay, double click.
No.
Okay, so then it's okay. This, I forget that these are the ones that are just in existence. Sorry, to edit them, go down to where it says edit keywords. It's a little bit lower. Yeah. So here is where you can, and if you put your mouse over that area and scroll up and down. Yeah, if you scroll up and down, see all the keywords she has added to this. All of these she can decide to add and add more keywords to this with that little plus sign, or she can just get rid of them. I've showed you how to add keywords in the info window. You can also add them here and then apply them. So maybe now you decide you'd love to have a keyword for one set of keywords that I like, for example, is I like to have keywords that talk about rating of the photo. So maybe you have a 3-star, a 2-star, and a 1-star rating, or 5, 4, 3, 2. I mean, you choose, right? How many ratings you want to give your photos. So if you put a keyword here called 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, then later when you're looking at your photos, you don't have only favorite as your only option. You can also say, well, all of these are 2 stars and this one's a 3-star, or 5 to 10, or 9, 10 to 9, whatever your rating is that you want to give things, right? So that would be a keyword you can add right here, and that you can use later to tag your photos. I'm not going to have you make that. I'll make one myself to show you guys. But I'm just giving you ideas of other kinds of keywords that are beyond just moments or situations like this one, which is based on, these are based on time, the keywords you have, and a few of them are based on a certain person, like 2010 Jean Overton right there. That's a person in a certain year, right? Or Chris and Michelle. That's people in a certain year. So it's your choice how you use keywords. I find that at first I was using a lot of keywords, then it got overwhelming. Like I couldn't really, they weren't descriptive enough. So I began to use more general ones. But then the general ones Apple took over, because if you write tree, a bunch of trees show up, right? It depends on, you need to see what you like to find things, how you like to find things that Apple couldn't discover, and have those be the keywords you make. Like, yeah, Apple couldn't know that this is the 2011 Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Unless you search for photos that fall in a certain date on a certain year. That would be the only way for you to find 2011.
You know, these,
in
if
the
you look
future.
at the dates on all of these, they're pretty old. And this is when I had a PC. And I guess because there's nothing here that's new. So since I got the Mac, I haven't known how to, so I didn't even remember doing this, but
Yeah.
somehow it transferred over, the keywords transferred over.
Yeah, that's great. And now you can keep creating new ones or not. But what I'm saying is, by having these keywords existing by date, you are limiting them to be as keywords that get used only once, right? Because there's only one 2011 Thanksgiving, right? So you might want to consider keywords that are another way of finding things that Apple couldn't find, that are more general, like things that are based on your rating of how good they are, or your appreciation of something, and things like that. Then those you can use over time. Not that these are wrong, but they're used once and that's it. That was it for Thanksgiving 2011, right? So if you want to be able to have a tag that works, it might just be Thanksgivings, right? And then any Thanksgiving is tagged with Thanksgiving. And then when you see all Thanksgivings, you'll be able to see, because of the progression of years, which one was 2011 and which one is 2014 and which one is 2017. Does that make sense? Is that an explanation that works for others? When you have a very specific keyword, it works fine for that one time, but you might want to consider it as a more general keyword, in the sense that then you'll be able to use it again and again and again. So that doesn't mean she needs to get rid of the 2011, but she might create a Thanksgiving tag now. And then every time you see Thanksgiving, you tag them all as Thanksgiving, including the ones from 2011 or whichever ones that she has. And then in the future, you write Thanksgiving in the search bar, and all your Thanksgivings for the past however many years you've tagged them pop in. And then just because they pop in by date, there you go. Those are the 2011 ones, or those are the 2012 ones. And once you click on it in the info, you'll see this is from year 2012, this is from year 2019. So then it gives more life use to that tag. Okay.
Deanna,
Yeah.
can you tag like a group of photos at one time? Like say all the photos in a folder?
Yeah, definitely. Now, if we already put them in a folder, it's easy to tag them, right? Because you already put them in a folder called 2011-17, so then it's easy to tag them. But in this example, can you create one new one for me? Go ahead and say plus right there. This is, I showed you the other day how to create a tag with the info window, remember? But just in case you don't remember, I just wanted you to know that there is a way, another way to create them, which is here. So see, she just did a plus, and see how the word untitled just showed up? I don't know if you noticed that, but she clicked on the plus sign, and that untitled just popped on at the bottom that wasn't there before. Okay? So now, go ahead and let's change the name of that title. Go ahead and click rename. And that untitled one gets lit up, and let's call it, Thanksgiving, because it's the example I've been giving you. Okay, and now say okay to that. All right, so now we know that amongst all these tags she has, which were created at some point, she doesn't memorize it. We know that there's one. See at the very top, it says quick group Thanksgiving. It just dropped in there. You don't need to have it be a quick group at all. It just dropped in there how she did it. But a really quick explanation of what just happened. See how next to the word Thanksgiving there's a T and a little circle? See that right there next to the Thanksgiving, a little blue circle with a little T. I don't know if you get to see the little T inside it. Anyway, that's just something that happened automatically for her, which if you only have a few tags, you can do that, which is a shortcut. Anyway, close this window with the red and I'll show you what we're talking about. So close that little red thing. Okay. Now close your your search for your Christmas 2011. Go ahead and click on that and turn that search off at the very top right where you in the search wrote that. Okay. Now, if you search for Thanksgiving now, it would probably only find things that have been tagged that way by her. Either see the file name or keyword. Other than that, there's nothing else here that shows up. It's not like the computer knows how to find photos of Thanksgiving, right? But what you can do is find Thanksgiving by date, right? So I'm going to show you in a minute, but right now, go ahead and choose one of these that you've already tagged, 2013 Thanksgiving, just to have one, or file name. You've already called it Thanksgiving. Okay. So right now, every single photo that's showing under here either has the file name Thanksgiving, which is probably the top ones because there's no keywords on them, or since the rest of them have little tags, those are all things that she's already tagged. Does that make sense? Yeah. For some reason or another, all of these have Thanksgiving in their names. So I'm going to show you now how to tag them all with just the word Thanksgiving. And then she can do that again to her 2011 that she already has a subset of, and that'll give her at least one tag for all of that. And then I'll show you other ways to find that same thing. But go ahead, and what you need to be viewing always, you guys, is your option, is your info, right? So go ahead and turn on your info, which that little I right there, round I would give you info, or go to window and view info. Window, info. Otherwise, the little I circle does that too. Okay, so now go ahead and you can drag this out of the way a little bit, like clicking not on the dots, but around the word info. Yeah, around the word info. Yeah, and drag it, click and drag it a little bit to the side or to the bottom. Okay. Now go down to where you have all these photos. So this is to the question Carol had, can you tag a lot of things at once? And select all by doing, for example, click your command key and say tap the A, and everything that's here will be selected. Okay, see how everything has a little gray, outline on it? Now, when you go into the info window, what do you see? You see 2011 Thanksgiving and 2013 Thanksgiving, right? Those blue things, that's where you see keywords. Now let's assign the Thanksgiving tag to this. Click in there, right next to 2011 and 2013 Thanksgiving, click to the right of that. Yeah. And now tap the T on your keyboard. See how that was a shortcut to her entire Thanksgiving? She had already made this one. She made this one because I told her to go and do plus Thanksgiving. So now you can click on that word that shows up for you. Click on that Thanksgiving in blue that popped in. Just click on that, yeah. Or hit return or something like that, yeah. And now see how all the stuff at top that did not have a keyword before just got tagged again? Go and hover over the top. Anyway, she added the Thanksgiving keyword to these photos now, all at once, to 72 photos. So that was quick, okay? Now, hover your mouse over, go to the right and over that little dog that's there. Hover over that keyword. Hover over the little tag that says keyword. And that one used to have just a file name. Click on keywords. Just click a little bit more. And it says Thanksgiving. Now, go down to one of the ones that already had a tag, which I believe if you go down 5 rows, I think all of those already had tabs. Now click on that one. That one has 2. It has the 2013 and the new one, Thanksgiving. So that one included both only 2013, but also any Thanksgiving. Does that make sense now? At some point, you probably have also the 2013. So now just by doing Thanksgiving, you can pick up any Thanksgiving, 2013 and 2011, not just one at a time. But now you need to add any other Thanksgivings you've had over the next set of years and add them to the Thanksgiving tag. And that way you'll get all your Thanksgivings in a row. Does that make sense? So let's go and see how we can find those other Thanksgivings. But before I continue, any questions about this? Notice that in all of these, in the info, she does not have a title on any of them. She does not have a description. She doesn't even have a specific location for all of these. All she has, the only way to unite all of these Maybe their Thanksgiving happened in different places over the years. All the way to unite them all is that she, a person, a human, not Apple, is able to say, yes, this was a Thanksgiving celebration, something Apple would not know. And that's a great tag to have then, something that you can create that others would not, that the Apple wouldn't know. Apple would know the locations and the place and the time, not what they were celebrating. It could be someone's birthday. You know what I mean? Does that make sense as far as a good use of keywords? One good use of keywords?
Yes. Deanna, could all these photos or some of these photos have different tags also, and they may pop up in different areas that we
Yeah,
can create?
totally. So for example, can you go ahead and click in some white area in between these photos so they stop being selected? Yeah. So I see a dog, and I don't know how important this dog is to you, but I see a little dog's face up there at the top right, just because I'm seeing it very easily, and you've already seen them, those two, right? Do you know the name of this dog? Is it a dog that has, okay, so select both of these, click on one and click on the other. Click on one. Now hold down the shift and click on the other. On the one next door. Yeah, so now these two, go ahead and the only tag these have is Thanksgiving. Now go click next to Thanksgiving and write the name of this dog.
Up here?
Yeah, where it says Thanksgiving on the left in the info window. On the info window where we
Okay.
tagged Thanksgiving. Yeah, a bit down, 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 where it says Thanksgiving. Yeah, no, one up. Yeah, that's the Thanksgiving keyword. Now click in there, and this time, guys, I'm gonna have her create a keyword, not in the keyword manager, but just in the info window, which is what we did last week, but we'll do it here again. Click to the right of Thanksgiving so that you get a little insertion cord. And now write the name of that dog.
Okay, it's two dogs, one and another.
Okay, let's assume
Well,
for this
Coki's in both of them. I
for
think.
this purpose, do we mind just saying it's all Koki? Just
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
then fix that. Okay, so go ahead and hit return or enter, whatever. There we go. Now she's created a new keyword. If we were to go to the keywords manager, now there would be a new keyword called Koki. Okay, all right. Now hover over one of the dog keyword tags. Yeah, and now click on. There we go. So now these have been tagged with both Koki and Thanksgiving. See that? Now, go up to the very top where it says Thanksgiving in your search bar. Click the X to get rid of the search for Thanksgiving. And now just search for Koki. And now she's seeing every single photo. Look at the left. She's now looking at 6,986 items, okay? 7,000 photos. Now write Koki and click on that. Boom. Out of her 7,000 photos, she's been able to isolate these two just because she gave them that word, the keyword Koki. Now, if she were to isolate and takes Thanksgiving, then all the things that she's written Thanksgiving would show up. But this would show up under both searches now because she's tagged them both Thanksgiving and Koki. Does that make sense? So now let's fix the fact that this isn't that same dog, and maybe you go to one who is not Koki, go to the one who is, because you can make mistakes on tagging, right? So maybe you go, oh wait, this wasn't that dog. So go to the one that is not Koki and click on it. Okay, now go into the info window that just popped up. And now go to the Koki, put your click right in the middle between Koki and Thanksgiving, like click in there. Yeah, you can click in there. And then now hit the return delete to get rid of Koki. Yeah, like that. Yeah, get rid of, you said that one's not Koki, right? So now hit delete. Boom. Now that one is not tagged Koki anymore. And if you want to create who it actually is, you can write that. And if it's a dog you'll never want to care about or see again, don't bother creating a tag for them, right? But does that make sense? Now this was badly tagged, and it was as easy as that to get rid of it. But if we get rid of the search now, she'll have to find that one dog again in order to label it, right? Because who knows amongst the 7,000 photos. Fortunately, if she hits Thanksgiving, she knows it'll be there, and then she can relabel it. Or you can relabel it now to the right name and create a tag for that right name. Which, since the faces does not recognize animals, if you love animals that you want to be able to pick up, keywords are a perfect place to use for animal names because they are not recognized otherwise automatically. So this is Marley, okay? So now you created the tag right there. Now you're done. Go ahead and click away. And notice that if you go up and get rid of that, and now if you tag Marley, if you search for Marley, there it is. That one dog appears amongst all 7,000 photos. So that's a perfect example of the, now she can find, anytime she finds any other photo of Marley as she peruses her photos, now she can go to the info and just write M-A-R, and as soon as that shows up, the tag pops in, you just tag it and there you go. Your keyword already exists. You don't need to create Marley again, right? So I don't know if you know of any other quick place where you can see a photo of Marley, but if you could find one more that you would, or Koki, if you would search that, do you know, if you click, you have to get rid of the search feature or it won't let you see the rest of your photos. So go click that out. And then as you scroll up and down, if there's any else place where you know that you'll find Koki or Marley and you find one, tell us. And then,
I don't know. This is
yeah, it would be hard to find. I don't know how prevalent, you know, photos of this dog is, but whenever you come across, and then if you really didn't want this tag because, oh, it wasn't an important enough tag to have, you can go back in your keywords manager and just delete that tag. Okay. So go up to your Windows keyword manager again for a second. So I was going to show you this today myself, but since she brought this up, she has so many keywords, it's great. Go to keyword manager. And now if you look at the C, there she is. She's created right next to Christmas 2009. There's the word Koki. That's the tag she just created. You see that? I don't know if you can point to that one with your mouse. There it is. And if you go down to the M, scroll down because it's by alphabetical order, there's Marley, okay? Now say that she didn't want Marley or Koki in her keywords, then say edit keywords, scroll to, or there, select Marley, and if you never wanted that, it's not something you'll ever do, then you just hit select it and then you click on the minus and that tag goes away. And that way the photo doesn't go away, but any photos that had the Marley tag, since the tag is going away, now to find that dog, you just need to visually find that dog again because there's nothing that helps you pick it up. Does that make sense? All right, any questions about keywords? I can show you more things, but this was a perfect example. She had so many and it worked really well in this sample. So any questions about keywords from anyone before we? Nope. Okay.
I have a question, quick question.
Suzanne? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the search only works with keywords, or if you had a title, would you search, you could search by title?
Go back and can you type again Thanksgiving, please, Anne? The search words for anything and everything. And she happens to have file names that are Thanksgiving, so there they show up. She happens to have keywords, okay? And she happens to have, I think when she did Christmas, you had some other options. You had an album named Christmas, so anything named the word you're searching for shows up. I think Christmas was the one that also gave us an album, right? Yeah, so get rid of Thanksgiving and write the word Christmas. Trying to make sure that it's between the two different shares we had. It was Christmas for you, right? Yeah. So, by the way, back up a little bit to the CRI only. Go back to CRI only. See, even the word CRI, which if you go down, we discover that she had something called Chris and Michelle, 2011 Chris and Michelle, okay, lower down. So it was, you don't even have the entire, keep going down two more, yeah. So 22% Chris and Michelle, see how it bolds the CRI out? And the top one that's just CRI probably was gonna be called just Chris, but as long as you put you begin to write anything and all the metadata that has the letters you're writing starts to pop up. As she keeps writing CRIS, CRIST, CRSTM, then it reduces itself just to the word Christmas, right? Does that make sense? But if you just write CH, I don't know if you have anything else, if you just like delete that word and just write CH, would anything else show up as CH? Click, delete up into the word CH. Delete. Yeah. Look, She's got Chiloé, which is an island in Chile. She's got High Chair. She's got Chicago. Look at all the other things she has labeled with something that starts with CH. Does that make sense, you guys? When you start writing the search, it just goes, where do I see the CH together in all of the either tags or titles or albums or categories that exist. And as she begins to Ciao, Chile, Chapeau, more are showing up, right? And then as she keeps specifying more words, it reduces itself to, oh, she only wanted Christmas. But at first, look at all the options under CH, China, right? So yeah, it finds whatever metadata that has whatever combination of letters you happen to put in there.
Deanna?
Yeah.
I've never been to China,
Eh,
and I think
So-
it's a quilt of mine. And another thing is, you know, under the places, I've got a couple of mine are labeled from cities in China, and I've never been to China.
All right, but how did you go down to the word China country 29 and let's see what it's picking up, because that is one, that country, that one is brought up by Apple, right?
These
So-
are not, they're not China.
What's that?
These are not China.
All right, so let's find out what they are. Click to see what the metadata on these photos are and why it thinks it's in China. So click on one of these. This one says Jiangsu, China.
Yeah, I've never been to Jiangsu, China, and that's in my house.
All right, so one of the things that happened here, and do you have others from that same moment or time? Let's see when this photo is from. It's from 2013, okay?
Yeah.
So in 2013, she took this photo in her Apple iPhone 4. You see all the stuff that we're finding out? Now, I do not know how, when, or why. This part is up to, but when her iPhone 4 was set up, maybe the search location in the past wasn't so good or whatever, but this photo got tagged with that location, right? So now she can go, no, none of these are China, and you can select them all and change the location for them. Does that make sense? I don't know why they got labeled that way, but you might find surprising things like this. And the good news is you can change that. So go and click on one of the quilts that you said. There we go. So again, it seems to be related to your Apple iPhone 4, because again, this one also says Xinjiang, China, right? I don't know if they're all from the same phone. Click on a few more very different ones. There's a couple here of people. Again, Xinjiang, China, and then there's a person in red and green. Yeah, so it keeps thinking that the place all these photos were taken was in China. So I think that at some point your Apple iPhone 4 settings and location services got messed up and these photos got labeled as from China. So you might want to select them all and you know, change the location if they're all in the
So
US.
how do we change the location of this one, for example?
Right, so you've got select both, since there's two of them at least,
Oh,
right?
well, yeah.
Meaning at least those two. Select, click,
Um,
and now select again. Yep. And now go into there and get rid of that little X and now put wherever they are from. Milwaukee, comma, and you, if it's just, yeah, there it is. And you can just click on the specific address or just the top one, which just says, no, but you didn't click on it. Hold on, click in there again. You actually need to make a choice. So yeah, so go click on Milwaukee, United States. Yeah, click on that blue, yeah, click. There we go. And that sets the location. If you want more specifics, you put in the whole address or whatever, but that at least relabeled those two to Milwaukee. So now if you click your selection that you had there, China, if you turn off that selection and type China again, those two won't appear. So go up at the top, search where we wrote China, where, yeah, click on that. And now search for China again. Say hit country. And all the other photos appear, but see how those two with the person in red and green that used to show up aren't showing up anymore? So she has relabeled the location for those. And again, that was a surprise, and I'm so glad we actually showed that example, because who knows why they got labeled that way. I cannot go back to 2004 and know, but hey, Now it's been corrected. You all saw how to correct it. You just rewrite the metadata for it. If it's wrong, put the right metadata on top. And now it is not, those two don't show up as part of China anymore. Okay, you can go in here and do them all at once if they are all from one place, or you can select, you know, the group of quilts and just, you know, or just get rid of the location place and not add one. So we'll go ahead and grab one of the quilts and just click in there in China to activate, and then just click the X to get rid of it, and now hit return and be done. And that's it. And you've basically gotten rid of it. See what I mean? If you now just click away and leave, yeah, that one.
Oh,
Oh,
still
no, it's
China.
still there. Okay, so then click on it again and click on mine. It does
Oh.
seem like you need to overwrite it. That's interesting. So just say USA or something like that. That's very generic, and then you can, and then, yeah, click on Fontana. You need to have, yeah. Usually it's good to put the comma.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. All right. Okay. So that was a great question. Thank you, Suzanne. You can do it in huge bunches, or you can do it in ones or twos, and it finds anything that in the metadata has the letters that you're typing in. And in this case, we found the surprise of, hey, China, where did that come from, right? So there you go. All right. I think we've used your photos enough. Thank you. That was a great example. And if there's another question that we can sample with her photos, any other questions, guys?
I have another question, but not on the photos.
Okay, so then any other questions about keywords? Because today I was going to demonstrate the whole keywords manager, and she's done a great job of following my instructions. So this is all I'm going to talk about keywords, unless you have any other keywords question. There's so much more we need to do that I want to make sure that this one, I might bring it up again here and there as an example, but that would be it for keywords.
Tiana, I
Yeah.
went through and labeled a bunch of photos from a trip to Italy.
Mhm.
And so I think I used my title and my keyword a lot as like Italy or Rome or, so what are the real differences between keywords and titles?
Okay. The way Apple is using them, I guess because a lot of people didn't know the distinction between keyword and title or description, Apple is using them because of the search. They're all just as powerful, because
Okay.
no matter where you put one of those words, once you search it, it'll come up as, oh, you put it in the title, you put it in the description, you put it in the keyword. But keyword is something that's recognized across many different organizational apps, and it's used by tons of different from the very beginning by different search engines to find things. And the word keywords means specifically individual words that describe something about your image, be it place, location, what's being shown, people, something like that. And it's been used forever. Now, to add more depth to that, Apple in its metadata is saying, well, you can also change the title. And the only special thing title has is that if you turn on the view title, then you see them written there under the photos, which for some people might be nice. But
Right.
other than that, it isn't necessarily something that that is picked up by other places, because the file name matters more than the title you choose to put on it, right? By other
Okay.
kinds of
So would it make more,
things.
would it
But
make more
keywords
sense?
keywords is something that's used across the board amongst all photo organization types of apps. So it's more generic. Description might be something that you'd put like in a caption under a photo or something like that.
Okay. So the title, if I'm doing a trip from Italy, my title might be Rome, and then a keyword might be piazzas, pasta.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yes and no. Consider in the long term of that photo, 10 years from now, are you going to want to see the photos of pasta? Then yes, because you're someone who writes about recipes and you blog and you're known by that, then yeah, pasta might make sense. But otherwise, for a keyword, it's a bit too small. That might be better as a description, or even, you know, pastas in Rome could be your title, versus something that you might look for in the future as a way to describe those photos might be what would go in keywords. Keywords are generally more general than specifics of that photo. So that would be a great thing to put into descriptions, or unless it's your job to be, you know, a correspondent on, you know, food around the world. Then you might want to get really specific about your photos, because when you write an article about pasta, you want to be able to write pasta in your search, and boom, 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 photos of pasta from the world comes up, and you pick one or two. So it depends on your need, how much you would use a keyword versus just something else. Here's an example. Have you ever gone to Google and searched for the word pasta, for example? Has any, if you're looking for recipes, right? Has anyone ever done that if you're into cooking or? Well, you might notice that you'll get 20 million, literally, I'm not exaggerating, answers, right? So that is a keyword that someone associated with those pictures, but you might want to be more specific, like penne pasta or whole wheat penne pasta. So each one of those things is considered a keyword. And the more specific you get, the more chances that then you reduce the choices from 20 million to maybe only 2,000. And then of those 2,000, you also add tomato, red sauce or something like that. And then boom, it comes down to maybe only, you know, 100. I'm just throwing out ideas, but each keywords are ways to describe an image. And the more descriptive, the easier it is to find that one. So for example, with what we just did with Anne, if her dog Cokie was something that was really important to her, and I'm inventing this, I don't know how important that dog is for her or not, but she really wanted to, there's this beautiful picture she remembers of Cokie with her niece, Suzanne, and she had tagged Suzanne, Cokie, Thanksgiving. Then by searching for those three, all the other 10,000 choices in her, she had 7,000 photos, would disappear, and it would come down to just one image has those three tags. Boom, you'd find the exact photo her brain is thinking of because she sub-tagged it enough. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's the kind of example where your tags have to be able to go from large to small to help you find a thing amongst millions of others. That would be the description of keywords.
Okay, thank you.
So Deanna, when you ask to just search generally in all of your photos, it will search the titles and keywords and descriptions
Yeah.
for wherever that word may appear.
In the Apple program, anything
Okay.
you wrote in the metadata is searched once you start typing something in. So it searches it amongst all. So within Apple, no matter where you write it, it'll be something that'll help you find that photo.
Okay. Is there a way to do a more advanced search where you want to see only things that have the title of Cokie?
Well, yeah, I showed you how when you say Cokie, or let's say a big one, Thanksgiving, it broke it down into these are the ones that have title, these are the ones that are
right.
category, these are, so you then read that and then click, I only want the ones that I labeled Cokie. And you go
So,
for
okay,
title,
so
Cokie, and
separate.
discover, guess what? She didn't have a single title labeled Cokie, which means 0, can't find it. But if she had labeled as a title Cokie anywhere, that would be how you would reduce it to just the labels, just the titles, for example.
So you don't specify in your search which field you want.
No.
It's specified in the answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just write Cokie and it tells you, well, Cokie appears here, here, and here. And you go, well, I have the ones where it appears here. And you check that, and then all the ones that you labeled is that. Great series of questions. Hopefully you'll use this feature. And those of you who have attempted it over this week, congratulations. If you have any more feedback about how it did or didn't help you, let me know. Other than that, between here and Wednesday, go ahead and use some so that you have more questions, because Wednesday is our last class. So this is your last chance to ask me more about things like folders and albums or keywords. Try them out, because it's when you try them out that things work or don't work. And that's when you have the real questions. Okay.
Diana,
All right.
Diana?
Yeah, Kip?
Question. I didn't get a lot of practice in, but in the photos under albums, in terms of the different categories, you start with the name of an album and then you have a folder, or is the album in the folder?
Yeah. So albums hold the photos. folders hold albums. So albums are inside of folders. So folders don't hold anything, any photos. They just hold albums, which then hold the photos. Okay. So if you remember when we saw, when you know how Sue first shared her folders and her albums, she had folders called Family, which held like 10 albums, or her folder called iPhotos had 350 albums. The albums held the photos. The folder is just a whole bunch of collection. It's like, imagine a big old cardboard box inside of which you have all your different photo albums. You know, when we used to have flippable photo albums, you put them all in a box and label them, you know, albums. Well, you open those up. The box just holds the albums, but the album itself, you can flip through and it shows the photos. So in that sense, those words really relate to real life, you know, and that
So
the album.
folder and then albums. And then can you have a secondary level in the albums?
Not in the albums, but you can have folders within folders. So you can have more folders. So she could decide to have international trips, and then inside of that, she could have, you know, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, all folders, and then all her albums. Instead of having, you know, 40 albums inside of international trips, she can have 3 albums inside of North America, 3 inside of Africa, 3 inside of, you know what I mean? So it's more ways to divide all her different international trips.
Okay, thank you.
Was that question, did that make sense to everyone? The question and the answer? How you just divide more folders to be more specific. Say you have so many albums that you need 5 boxes to hold them. One will be called Africa, one will be called, you know, South America, North America, Europe, and Asia. And inside of each one of those boxes, then you put the albums of just those trips. But they're all inside of the shelf on your storage area called trips, right? So that's the big folder that holds them all. So yes, Sue?
Quick question. When I drag the Adriatic folder under iPhotos over to my other Adriatic folder, does it replace it? Or does it just say, oh, it's already here?
If it's already there, it doesn't replace it. It just
That's perfect.
Because
I've done a lot of editing, you know, since I originally built those folders. And so I wouldn't want to drag all my old unedited pictures over on top of.
And if it has the exact name, it is the same thing. You need to do that. Open it from one side and from another and see. And technically, if it has the exact same name, it's probably the same folder, just showing up in 2 different places. I wouldn't venture to promise that it's the same.
Right.
Album. I think you might have already dragged it in there and that you're doing it on the same photos, but you would have to check on one. And if you do see the name in 2 places, then click on one, get an idea of what tags or things it has, and then click on the other and see it. At the top, you can see, does it have 66 photos and the other one says 260 photos? Well, both have the same name, but they're not the same album. Be careful with that.
Right, but my concern more was dragging an unedited photo and replacing an edited photo. You know, I've done a lot to you know, enhance the photo or crop it or whatever.
I don't know your albums, so you need to do that. Click on one, click on another, and compare them. Even visually, you can tell, or put
your. They'll have the same numbers of pictures. I just don't know whether I've, you know, I've got the new and improved. I just want to make sure of the one in iPhotos.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the metadata, it would show you if it was modified or not, if it was edited or not. Like compared the 2 photos, click on one, click on another, and go, the metadata is identical. It's the same photo. But if things begin to change, you know, whoops, these are the edited ones, these are not. In fact, if you edit them inside of the photo set, which we're going to do today, we're going to be editing. Then on top of that, you'll have a little tag next to the place and the keywords. You also have a little tag called edited. But if you do your editing outside and, you know, Lightroom or something like that, that wouldn't necessarily show it. You'll just see the photo. So
okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Great sets of questions. I'm going to go back to the few things that are missing around albums. And one of them is the conversation about a smart album. Remember I told you how to do regular albums with or without selections, and I told you how to do folders to put them into, but I haven't yet talked about smart albums. And then we're gonna go into actually editing your photos. Hold on. There we go. Okay, Marcia, you were waving your hand for a
Yeah,
second.
thank you, Deanna. I put one of my photos in the trash and now I can't get it out. I was just wondering if you could show me. When I go into trash, it doesn't say any, I can't find any button to click on that
Well,
says,
that's a feed. That's very important to know how to do. Let's use your sample for everyone to learn how to do it. So can you share your screen?
yeah. So I'll go directly into my trash.
Mm-hmm. No. What trash are you going into? Okay.
On the
you're going-
bottom of my computer.
that's a computer trash, which is completely unrelated to your Photos app trash. Okay?
Oh,
It's
okay.
completely unrelated because these photos are not related to what's in your Photos app. So
These are photos that I scanned. These are slides that I scanned and put on my computer.
okay, did you already put them in your photos or not?
I don't think so. I don't know. That's one of the things I'm confused.
Okay. All right. So that said, though, inside of Photos, did you delete something inside of Photos that you didn't know how to recover, or is this the question? Because if this is the question, I'll deal with this. But if not, just in case, for everyone to understand, what she's showing us is a Finder window in a folder called Clifford Pics. This is not in her Photos app at all. Okay, these are photos that she has in her Finder. Okay, is everyone clear about the distinction between having photos in your computer versus having them in your Photos app? Not too clear? Clear, but want to ask questions? Come on, I'm sure someone's not clear.
I'm definitely not clear, obviously.
Yeah, so a couple of people are being brave enough to raise their hands and say, not me, okay? So your photos that are in your computer, strewn around in different folders and places, might or not be inside of your Photos app, depending on whether you imported them or not, okay? So the first question that you asked, I thought was the one I was gonna be answering, was it's important to know. So let's be clear and let me answer that one first, which is once you delete a photo, how do you recover it before the 30 days are up? So let me answer that one first, and then we'll address these photos. So can you go into your Photos app, please, and open your Photos app? This is not the Photos app which is showing us. Yeah, click on that. Okay, this is her Photos app. See on the left side, it says Library, Albums, My Albums, see that? Now, can you go ahead and click again on what's on the right side, which is your Finder, so I can distinguish for people your Photos app? No, go to the right, where you see the, stop. Move to the far right, move your 1 inch to the further to the next window that's behind the Photos app. Move your mouse, just move it to the right 1 inch, and trust me, to the right is the other way. Yeah,
Oh,
right there.
okay.
Stop.
I'm trying to get the
Okay, but I'm trying to show people, so leave your mouse in that white area.
okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Now move it to 1 inch to the right, and then stop you moving your mouse. Keep going, keep going. There. See the distinguishing, that thing that's in the back there?
No,
That's
because I'm sorry, but I'm on the pictures of everyone in the class right now. That's the problem.
okay, so move those pictures out of the way.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
but just for what the rest of the world is seeing, we were just seeing you right there. And so she had the photos of all of us in the right. That's why she had to move them away. But that's in the back there. That's not her Photos app. And so let me be clear. Don't move your mouse, but if you look down at her dock, do you see her dock at the very bottom? Don't move your mouse. Don't move your mouse. Don't move your mouse. Leave it where it was.
Again, I'm just trying to move everybody out of the way because I'm still seeing everybody. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
All right. So can you put your mouse again on that window? Yeah. So in her dock, at the very bottom, just watch, just look. You don't need to be shown pointed anything. In her dock, she has the Photos app has a little black dot. The Photos app is open, right? She also has the little black dot under the Zoom app, right? Can you see that? If you go at the very, very far left, she has a dot on her Finder. Those are the only 3 things that are open in her computer. She has her Finder, her Photos, and her Zoom, yeah? So the Photos app is that which we see at the top. We see that photograph that's sideways. And if you actually, and this is very important what I'm about to show, Very top left of her screen, next to the apple's icon, what word does it say there? Very top left. There's a little apple icon. We all know it's the very far left top. What word does it say to the far right? To the
Photos.
photos. So that's her Photos app. Thus, everything in that sidebar that says library, photos, memories, favorites, people, that all belongs to the Photos app. Now, can you simply click where your mouse is on? Just do a little simple click there. Now, what she is pointing to, look up at the top left by the apple. What does it say?
Finder.
That's her Finder. So her Finder window is just a window that looks into her computer to see what photos are in her computer. This is not the Photos app. If you're ever confused about what's the Photos app or not, you have to see what's next, what word is next to that apple, okay? She is in her Finder. This is a place in her computer that has photos. Now, we don't know yet if these photos are actually in her Photos app, but somehow or another, and usually when you scan them in, right? Or when you download them from the internet, you have photos in your computer that haven't made it all the way into your Photos app. So if you want to see these photos, you would have to import them into your Photos app. So we're going to do that in a second because I want to show you how to do that. But first, I wanted to distinguish for you those things in the gray sidebar: recents, applications, movies, music, AirDrop, downloads, cloud, drive. That is your computer. And that are locations on your computer. And in one of those places, she happens to have photos, photographs, pictures, right? But her Photos app, now go to the dock and click on the Photos icon. That just popped up, and you pull it up by going to the icon. That is her Photos app. Again, if you look at the apple and the photos, see how that is her Photos app? Is everyone pretty clear about that distinction? And how you know if you're never sure where you're in, well, just look up at the top left next to your apple, and that distinguishes for you which app you're in. Okay, I got it, Bill, thanks. All right, so now on the left side of this Photos app, there's a little trash can that says recently deleted. So under photos, memories, favorites, people, places, imports, recently deleted on the left sidebar.
Oh, got
Go
it.
to that one. Recently deleted. These are photos that you deleted from inside of your Photos app. Okay, guys? In her Photos app, she got rid of a photo, and here they are. And she deleted them all yesterday, because see how they still say 29 days left, or today. You see that? Because you have a total of 30 days. So if you do not want to get rid of one of these, go ahead and select one. You need to select it first, and then once it has a check mark, then you can go up to the top like she was showing and say recover. You don't need to recover it or not, but there you go. Now it left the trash. But this is the Photos app trash. This is unrelated to the computer trash, which is at the bottom on your dock, which is that far little left-right icon, which is your computer app, and that one holds the Finder's trash. So now go click on the Finder window, which is on the right side there. That Finder window, if you trash anything from here, it goes into that trash that's in the dock, which is the computer's trash. So see in the dock, can you just point to the dock trash? That trash belongs to your computer, not to the Photos app. If you trash something inside of Photos, you won't find it in this trash. If inside of Photos, you only find your photos inside of the Photos trash. This is your computer trash, and if you have photos in here that you trash, files of any type and kind, applications, whatever that you trash, they go in here. But this is not trashing anything that's inside the Photos app. They are two separate locations. Imagine you in your house, you have one trash that's in your bedroom and one that's in your kitchen. Well, when you put things in your bedroom trash, there it is. It's not in your kitchen trash. These are two separate trashes, okay? If you lose your diamond ring, hopefully it's in your bedroom trash and not in your kitchen trash. It's probably easier to look through your bedroom trash than it is to look through your kitchen trash. But they are not the same thing, okay? They are two different locations. And so you cannot compare what you do with one or the other. If you lose stuff and if you delete stuff from the trash and the Finder, then you have to go then you have to go and open the trash, and that's the stuff that we talk about in the macOS level 1 and class, and now we're going into level 2. So this is Finder level, computer level organization. Okay, this is a different trash.
Do they both have the 30-day limit?
Nope. This trash, the computer trash, has no default 30-day limit. You can decide, you can set it in preferences that you want this trash to be set for 30 days, but beyond that, if you don't, it can sit there for years, which people in my macOS level 1 class discovered that they had a trash that was full of stuff and then from since 2012 or 2000, they've never emptied it. It just sits there. You can switch that in preferences and set it to 30 days, in which case be careful because you're at the same situation where you have only 30 days before you lose it forever. But the default setting is not limited to any time. It sits there forever. So when you throw things away in your computer, you think they're gone and your computer is lightly. No, they're sitting in trash until you actually empty your trash. But anyone who has questions about that, please keep taking that kind of information and taking the Mac level classes. Now, Carol says, well, what if you drag photos to the trash? Well, where from? From the Photos app or from the Finder? It's two different things, okay? The trash is different. So if you put
In the Photos app.
in the Photos app, it lives there for 30 days until you either recover it, or if you don't recover it, it disappears completely. Okay? It does not make a stop in the computer trash. They're unrelated. If you got rid of your bedroom trash, it's gone. It has nothing to do with the kitchen trash. They're unrelated trashes. The Photos app trash automatically saves them for a total of 30 days. And after a while, it goes, okay, you don't want this photo, it's gone. And it deletes from everywhere where you had that photo, meaning your phone, your computer, your photos pad or camera, wherever it is that you have that photo. You can recover it from any of them. I showed you in the phone, you can go to the recently deleted and recover it from there. You can recover it on your computer. You can recover it from everywhere. It's that one photo, and it's recoverable up for 30 days. After that, it's totally gone.
Can you change the number of days?
In the system preferences, I'm not sure, maybe, but right now I don't have mine open, so I can't check. But I don't know. That's a setting that's maybe. But the thing is that it's the only way for you to, if it were set to never, then people would always have everything there forever, and they'd never be able to make space for new things, right? And so I think it's probably a default is a pretty strong one. I don't know. I'll check when I open up my own app Photos right now. Now, the reason I still have Marsha's stuff here up on screen is because I want to show you if these photos that she has on her computer are not in the Photos app, it would be nice to have them in there, wouldn't it? So how many of you guys were in my Mac level 1 classes at some point? Those of you who were, many times I said, okay, any photos that are loose in your computer, make a big folder, call them pictures or whatever, and then you need to decide if you want to put them in your Photos app or not. For those of you who weren't in any of those classes, still, that's the question. When you have photos that you got in your computer, sometimes you don't know how they showed up there. Sometimes you know. You brought them in from a flash drive that someone gave you. You got them emailed to you. You download them from the internet. Or you scan them in, like Marsha said she scanned these in. Those are all photos that end up as files in your computer. But you need to import them into the actual Photos app for them to be visible through the Photos app. So we're going to do that now.
Great.
If you have a ton of them, it's easier to just do the import that we did the first day, file import and bring them in. But you could also, if you have just say these are the only photos she needs to do, you can actually just import them in a little bit easier way. So you can grab them all and drag them straight onto the icon for the Photos icon. So can you select all of these? Do you know how to select all, Marsha?
Yeah, but these are all in the trash, correct?
Oh, you put them in the trash. I see. Okay, so show the trash so that people know what you're talking about. No. The little word trash. See that little word trash? Right there, she's looking at things that she put in the actual computer trash, okay? So if these you don't want to do, then forget that. Go find some other photos that you have in your computer, which I'm sure you have. No. Do you know of any other photos you have in your computer? I think you've shown me before. No?
I'm not sure, Deanna.
Let me go ahead and I'm requesting remote control. Can you go ahead and let me touch your computer? Remote control? Okay, so now I'm controlling her computer, and I believe that in your documents or somewhere you had pictures before, and I'm not sure.
Jim's camera photos.
Jim's camera photos, yeah. So see Jim's camera photos. Remember we went into all of this, but you had these imported already into your Photos app or not? Did you?
Yes, I believe they are. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's not confuse things. From the Mac class, trying to find some other photo that you might have here that's from my classes or something that doesn't matter.
What about the screenshot?
There.
Deanna's hand out, but that
Okay, so this is a screenshot. A screenshot is a photo, guys. Okay? So she took a screenshot at one point. The screenshot is a file, and if it happens to be of something really important, she might want to keep it in her Photos app. This is an example where she probably doesn't want her photo app, but I'm just going to show you how to drag it in. So here's your Photos app, right? So you can just grab a photo and drag it until I'm going to hover over the Photos app, see? And when you're hovering over, when it goes in like that, boom, you let go. And now the Photos app opened up, see up here? And it says imports. And look at what we imported today, July 20th, her photo of the screenshot. Does that see that? At 2:26, which is basically right now. Okay, we just imported this one. The last time she imported something was in July 6th. If I go into photos and scroll all the way to the bottom, the last photo she has, if it's divided by photos and photos, the very last photo she should have in here is the photo that we just imported. But right now it's in October 2019. It's hard to scroll really fast when you're controlling someone else's computer, so it's going really slowly. But once it settles and it starts scrolling, if you go down to the bottom of that list, as you can see by date, that's the last one that she'll see. Does that make sense? So this is for everyone. If you have photos in your computer that you do not have in your Photos app because you got them by email, for example, and you didn't automatically drop them into Photos, which you can from email, but if you didn't. So typically people in downloads might have a photo that someone sent them, right? So say that you have a photo in here that you got in an email or something like that. I don't know, say that one. So if you want this photo that someone sent you in your Photos app, all you need to do is you went into download, someone emailed you something, you downloaded it, you grab it, and boom, you drop it in there. Now I won't, because I don't know if this photo's in there at all or not right now, but that's all you need to do. So it's a quick process to Photos as you begin getting them. You know, my mom emailed me pictures. It was her birthday yesterday, by the way. And so we had this Zoom meeting, and it was kind of cute because my sister and I made the same lemon pie, and we had one there and one here, and families. Cute. So I took screenshots of the moment, and so those screenshots go onto my desktop. And I don't have actual photos of the moment. My sister was using her phone to do the Zoom, so it's not like anyone took photos of that. So the only photos of that moment I have are screenshots, right, of the Zoom. So those are going to go into my Photos app. So they landed on my desktop, and I'm just drag them and put them in my Photos app. And those are photos of my mom's birthday, Zoom birthday party, right? So, but they land on your desktop. If you receive them by email, they land in your downloads. So just grab them from your downloads and drag them into your Photos app. And then they get self-organized by date in which they got taken, if they are actual photos, or if you scan them, then they are organized by the date they got scanned in. So you might have a whole batch of photos that are really old from, you know, a few days ago. You need to go in and change their dates. All right. Okay, so the other way is the long way around that I've shown you in the past, which is you go to File, Import, and then you go choose some place, which those of you who have many photos would know, in your desktop documents or wherever. You choose a folder that has 2,000 photos that it's, you know, you can't be like importing one by one, and you say import, and then they all come in, just like we did the first couple of days of class, that we imported all the photos that you are now using for this class. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to give you back your computer.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? All right. So we're going to, I'm going to, what time is it? What time is it? 2:30. Okay. So let's take a quick break. Well, here's the thing. I want everyone to get out of their personal photos apps, and I want you to open up your class app, because we're going to start messing around with editing. So I'm going to lead you into that when we get back from the break. If you know how to do it, go ahead and do that. But if you need help with that, then make sure to be back right on time. So it's 2:30, so at 2:45. If you need help getting back into your Photos app, then be here right on time. Otherwise, if you know how to do it, close this one, go to File, Quit, and then you can Command, so Option, click, Option right click, and then choose a library for the iClass Photos library, or go into your Pictures folder and open up, double click on the iClass Photos library. And if none of that works for you on your own, then wait, and at 2:45, I'll lead those of you who still need to get into that one into opening that one, but for sure close this one. Okay, take a break and we'll see you in 15 minutes. All right. right. How's everyone? Sorry about that. I was having technical issues with one of my backup drives. Okay, is everyone here? That's a silly question because basically that means that a lot of you are not here, wouldn't be answering, but if you are here, you are here. So yeah, whenever I say, are you here? Only people who are here would be answering. So anyway. I have a quick question that someone said, are screenshots JPEGs? No, they get saved as PNGs, which is a different format of graphic files. And then Dot, if you want to share your screen with me at some point to deal with your issue, but did you try Dot seeing the wider issue and select the right thing and see if that was what was happening or not? I answered an email where you were supposed to pull out to see the side view, the sidebar.
I guess I didn't get that get that part on the email.
Before class started, I was checking on
Yeah.
you. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But I just tried it again and I couldn't get it.
All right, well, I'm going to be creating smart folders and I'm going to show that, and then you can show me if you can see if something is happening with that. So Dot was saying she had trouble creating a folder. So now when I show, when I talk about smart albums, I'm going to show about that too. So Carol, why would you want to change a PNG to a JPEG? Just to understand, it's just two different types of file formats. There's no real need. I don't want to get into the depths of file formats, but there's no need unless there's a particular reason why you're asking me that. Carol?
I was trying to put a screenshot on a web page.
Well, web pages read PNGs just fine. In fact.
Yeah, because it went to a little small screen with a question mark in it. Okay, I'll try it again.
Other than that, you can change from a PNG to a JPEG in Photoshop or any of those apps. I don't think you can do it
in Photos.
I don't know if you can. I'll look into that, but yeah. But PNG is a web format, so I don't know why it wouldn't be showing up. PNG is a web format, unless you're in a very restricted template kind of situation where you can only upload JPEGs, but PNG is a web format.
Deanna?
Yeah.
Deanna?
Yes?
I just did that and it's fine. Now I can do it with the folder. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so here I am, and hopefully everyone has opened their personal photos app, but if they haven't, at the very most, sorry, their iClass one, at most, hopefully you've closed your personal one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share now in how to open your iPhotos class photos library. So if you, now I'm sharing my screen, and if you still have your photos up with the dot open and it's showing your personal photos, then please close it. You can say file quit. And now I'm going to show you how to open in two different ways. You can hold down the, if you like, the option key and that shows up. That's one way. Most people had trouble with that. Many people had trouble with that, but not most. The other option is just a regular any old right click. That's it on this icon. And now when you click on the word open, now is when you hold down the option key at the same time, and then you click open, and that gives you the same option to click on iLife Photos Library class. So that should take care of a lot of you. And then the final option, we're all doing the same thing 3 different ways, is to open a Finder window. And then here, I had you guys go into the downloads and then double click on SBCC, on the house, which has your name, double click on that or right click open. And then that gets you to the pictures folder and the iLife class library, which you can then double click or right click open. So if after all these options, you still do not see the iLife class photos in front of you, now go ahead and let me know and I will help you get to these photos. So anyone for whom you're one way or the other is still needing help getting into the class photos, please raise your hands or holler out. Is everyone in their iLife class photo albums? Molly, okay. I can't hear you. So I can't hear you though, but do you want to share your screen so I can help you? That way we can just make it happen. Oh, Molly, but you told me you were having the whole issue of your photos going round and round. Give me a quick share, and if I can't solve it within the first minute, I will not try to deal with it because I can't function with them. Computer that doesn't work. So click on your share screen button. Your green share screen button and share your screen with me.
It's I'm having difficulty. It's that round. It's that I can't.
Okay, well, if it's your rainbow
I got
screen and your whole Zoom not working, then yeah, I'm not going to try to fix your photo.
No, don't bother with me. I'll figure this out somehow.
Anyone else who needs to get into the Photos app? Your hand with that? No. Okay.
No,
Yeah, no,
it's a problem.
Chris?
No, your explanation was so clear. I'm just forgetful. You told us if the flower, the option key doesn't work, to go to, and I completely.
Yeah, I'll do it one more time.
I went to the Finder and I did not find the house or whatever you were saying about the
Finder, you don't need to because you do have the pictures folder in your Finder. So go in the Finder, go down to the pictures folder. Okay. You have on the sidebar of your Finder, I know you have the pictures folder. Some people don't, but you do. And then when you click on the pictures folder, then you just need to go down to the scroll to the I and find the iLife Photos class. And if you're having an issue with that, just share your screen because then it's easier to just point to you where you're doing it. Okay. So here on the left where it says pictures folder, you have to scroll until you see the I. You've got a ton of stuff in here. So go to the I, top, very top then, because you have it organized by time. So then it'll be even better. There it is.
Oh, okay.
iLife class library, right click and open. Yeah.
Double click.
Double click if you can, or right click and open, whichever works best for you. And now can you stop sharing? Because perfect, you're there. Okay, so great. I'm going to I'm going to share my screen now again, and I'm going to show you first of all how you get to, how do you make the third kind of albums, which is the album that is the smart album. So I'm going to go back into photos just because I know that works for all the different versions. When you do photos and photos, you're kind of seeing all your photos, right? And that works for no matter what version of photos we're in. So click on photos here at the top and then click on photos here on the middle of the title bar. And that puts us all in a place where all our photos are being shown by time and oldest photos first, newest photos last at the bottom. All right. So all of the albums that we made the other day here, if I click on my albums, we'll have separate albums. And if you haven't been making albums as we speak, then hopefully you have been trying other albums. But we have a folder, one folder, and when I twirl open the photo folder, meaning it's collapse or expand is what we call it technically, is click on this little arrow and it'll open up. And then I find that in this folder I had 2 different years of film festivals, and these were actually the real photos, and we put some others and called them the second of that same version, right? But that's something we did the other day. I'm not sure if you completed this process, but the idea was a folder that holds more albums. And you saw that pretty clearly today in 2 of the samples, in Anne's and in Sue's photos, how when you go into their photos, into their personal photos albums, they had folders inside of which they had whole bunches of different albums inside of them. You only need to do that if you have a really good deep organizational system. Here on the left, you could end up having 250 folders. That wouldn't be useful. Then you would still need to kind of keep collapsing them into bigger folders. If you remember Sue, she had tons of albums. I'm talking hundreds of albums. Remember, 350, whatever. But in the end, on the left side, there were like 5 main folders. You know, the family, the trips to outside of international trips and trips in the United States or something like that, and family. So those were her main big categories. And inside of that, she then had a lot of folders. Remember that? So that's the idea, to subcategorize and then keep doing folders within folders. So we have only a few here, but we have one folder which shows 2 albums and 3 separate albums. So if I click on the word called My Albums, then we see this is a folder which holds 2 albums. And it shows little, and if I had more albums, it would show 4 little icons, which is little icons of each one of the albums. But then this is an actual album. And so I see a little image of that. And if I actually hover in here and look at what I'm doing, I've selected it, right? And then I'm moving my mouse to the right or to the left, and see how it's kind of showing me all of the, trying to skip through the photos of that album. Over here too, as I go back and forth, or over here as I go back and forth. So they're not, they show you one still photo, but when you hover over it, it kind of gives you an idea of what the photos that are in there, like a quick skim. And you go, yeah, that's the right album. Then if you want it, you can see it. So how do you see it? You either double click from here, or you single click from there, and that shows you all of the photos of that album, okay? So basically, ultimately, if you go click in here, you'll see all the photos of that album. But to see that little mini version, you have to go up to the My Albums to see the little like chapter 1, 2, 3, right? Little mini version of the album. Does that make sense? So you kind of hover over it really quickly and get an idea. Oh, no, that's the wrong year. That's the Christmas from 2 years ago. Let me see this one. Oh, this is the right one, right? And then you either click down here, or you can either just double click here and it opens up as well. So those are 2 different ways to access the albums. Okay, so these albums we created in 2 different ways. One of the ways was we pre-selected some photos, and then we said file, new folder from selection, right there, new album from selection. And the other way that we made one of these, we just created an album without any selections, but to that you need to make sure you have nothing selected, okay? You click in some neutral area and have no selections. At that point, if you try to create a new album, there is no choice of make album with selection. It only lets you choose new albums. So then you make an empty one, and then you start dragging things into it. Remember how we created one that way the other day as well? Okay. And then there's the question that has been asked from the beginning, what's the new smart album? So let's create a new smart album. First of all, let me define it. A smart album chooses what goes into it. You don't drag things into it, but it chooses what goes into it based on your selections of what you want to go into it. So it takes your variables that you choose, and it will self-fill with photos that fit your description. So let me explain. Let's go and say find file new smart album. File new smart album. Now you guys are going to have to watch a little bit first before just clicking away, because at this point I find that when people see these windows, they just kind of always go okay, and don't really read. So stop if you said okay, and let's discover what this means. So watch my screen for a little bit, okay? So right now it says Untitled Smart Album, right? So we need to give it a name. So let's say that we call this one, some people demonstrated today some Christmas albums or Thanksgiving albums or travel albums, right? Or maybe you take photos of the meals that you make and it's like recipes. I don't know. You know, you're into photos, you're into birds and you take photos of birds, whatever your album might be. But some of those albums can be created to fill themselves automatically based on a series of choices. So watch over here. it says, fill my photo. Basically, this is a fill my album with match the following conditions. So here we get to set some conditions. And so the first one would be the photo is something, or the person is a certain person, or the keyword, remember, is a certain keyword. So you can make albums made based on so many things, or the title, or the description. Remember today you were asking me questions, what's the point of all of these? If I don't want to just search in here for the word Thanksgiving, I can just click in here for something that says Thanksgiving and I want to avoid the search. Then I can use one of my descriptions, file names, keywords, or something like that. But since I already can use that there, maybe I want to go for something else. We can say, well, what camera did I use? Or did I use a certain lens? If this is if you're more advanced in the photos you take and you're not just using, the iPhone. The one that I find the most useful, beside any particular metadata that I might have put in there, is things like date captured. Now, the whole point of date captured is weird because supposedly the photos already assign themselves by date captured, right? I mean, that's how they automatically show up. A to Z, how old or how new. But here we can find photos that fit a certain timeline. So for example, if I say date captured, right? So the photo has to have been taken, and then yes or yes on a certain date, or in the range. So date captured is a range. And so now I can say, and you can put in the date ranges of your vacation, or your trip to Algeria, or your Christmas trip, or your Thanksgiving trip, or someone's graduation, or if you went to someone's wedding and it was like, a few days worth of celebrations and meeting and seeing friends, and then finally the wedding. So you're not just looking at one day, but it's a range of dates, right? So in this case, here, I have photos from a trip we did in winter over what's considered the Christmas break for schools, but it started before the end of, it started before Christmas and it ended up in January because we got home in January, right? So it's not one day and it's not really like December 25th. So let's say that I put those dates in here. So I can click in here and I can say, okay, it was any photos, make an album with the date is in the range of, and I'll say November, and I believe 20th would, sorry, not November, December, I'm sorry. 20th is probably right, but what would the year be? 2019, right? So I want photos that I took from December 20th, 2019 through January, probably 7th, 2020. This kind of might capture the whole trip, right? Mm-hmm. And if I were more present to it, I know it wouldn't exactly the dates. And then up here under Smart Album name, I'll go winter trip, right? Winter Southwest trip. It could be Southwest National Parks, or I can just call it Southwest trip, or winter 2019-2020. So I can choose whatever way I want to label it, but I'm just going to call it winter Southwest trip. Okay. And already, thank you so much. We're already here. Look at, it's already telling me 28 items seems to have matched. So I specified the data that I want, and the program automatically chooses what fits what you've chosen. And so now I'm ready to say, okay. And here under Winter Southwest Trip are photos that go from the date I requested to the date I requested. And if there's nothing, like if I look at my first one, maybe it isn't from the date I requested. I'm going to open my info. And the first one is actually December 24th. So I don't even have anything from December 20th. Remember I requested December 20th? There's nothing from the 20, 22, and the 3rd. So the first one is December 24th. This one is already December 26th. This one is December 25th. This one here is December 29th. This one here, I'm looking in here, is January 1st. That one there was December 29th. And the last one is January 3rd. So obviously there's no more photos in here through the 7th. So it finds whatever it can that fits within my request. And thus I have the whole winter trip without me having to put them in there. Does that make sense? The only problem with this would be if at the same time, if I look at my photos, what if I took those photos and at the same time I received photos from someone else that had that date, like they took pictures for Christmas and I uploaded their photos of their Christmas into my photos. So then inside of this range, I'd also get the photos from someone else's Christmas. Does that make sense? Because all it's requesting is a date. So there's different ways to set up your album. But if your photos are your own, this is actually better for me. Because in my same photos album, I import my photos, but I also ask my husband for his phone and I import his photos, and I get my son's phone and I import his photos as well. So then when I put this date range, I do get, assuming we're all been on the same trip, which we were, then I get not just my photos, but I also get each one of our photos from that trip. And so then I have many more photos of that moment by how each one of us saw that moment. Does that make sense? So this works for me for when we go on trips, because I might have photos that someone else took. So here in this photo, I see that it was taken with a Panasonic DMC yada yada. This photo was taken with, let me see, I'm trying to, did I take only my photos for this example? No, this one here was taken with an Apple iPhone 6S. This here was taken just with I'm trying to find with another iPhone 6S. See, so these are different people who took these photos. How about this one? Most of them are taken with a Panasonic, but some, sorry, are taken by the Apple. So like this one.
Panasonic.
Anyway, somewhere here and there, I had some that were taken. That one, for example. I don't remember which one it was. That one, huh? Finding Apple. Okay. So does that make sense? It could be good or bad, depending on whose photos you have. And I like that. There were all of these people that are here in this photo, they were all on this trip. And so I gathered the photos from every one of these people from their own personal cameras in my real photos library. I put them all in there. So when I make a smart album like that, I gather Marta's and Raul's and Joaquin's and everyone's photos. And then I have all the photos of that trip that everyone who was on that trip was on. Pretty cool.
I have a question,
Yeah.
Deanna. When you import other people's photos, does it use their metadata? Because when I've been sent pictures, it tends to just be that date. If someone sent me a random picture while I was on vacation, it would be during that time frame. So when you import your family's photos, it still maintains the original date, not the date you imported?
Yeah, the photos come with the date of capture. The metadata camera, when it snaps, no matter whose camera it is, it says where it was taken, what time it was taken, what camera took it, what lens, what aperture. All of that has to do with the moment it was taken by whoever took it. The only difference is if you scanned in an old photo and then it has the date of the scan instead of the date of when the photo was taken, right? Because that's a whole different kind of information. But the photo information that's in the metadata is based on whichever camera took it, whatever place they took it. So then, yeah, it all works because they'll be from the right date, right? So the other day, for example, someone sent a picture. My son goes and fishes at the pier, my youngest son. And they caught his big shark, a 9-foot shark. The helicopter's making so much noise I can't even hear myself speak. There we go. And so someone on the pier caught a 9-foot shark. And my son is one of the people who helped hook it and bring it up, right? So he was doing it. So he didn't have pictures of them. Okay, he's yelling at me. He gaffed it. He's telling me the technical. It's a giant hook. It's okay. So it's a gaff. You pull it up from the wash into the bin. He didn't have a photo of the moment. So he asked someone to please send that picture. Someone there with the phone took the picture. So they sent the picture to us. So for me, it's not a photo that my son took, but it is a photo of that, you know, big shark getting photographed at the right time and date from a photo camera. I don't even know who it was, but someone out there who took that picture and sent it to him, who then forwarded it to me, and I put it in my photos album because it's so cool, right? So that data is from that one. So Carol's saying that the summer album will capture video, selfies, panoramas, whatever. Yeah, in this case, all I said was date. So then yes, it goes by date, but it depends on what you describe. We can describe a different photo description for our smart album, okay? And then it will be a different issue. So any questions about the smart albums? Let's make another one. Give me an idea first, any questions about it, and then let's make another one based on something else. Yes.
Yeah. So I have a lot of gardens. So if I wanted to make a smart album of plants.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was trying to pop that word in, I don't know how I would do that.
So here we go. That is a perfect example of when this will not work for you, because if you say new smart album, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to say photo is, you know, maybe only videos or selfies or live portraits. This thing here will not take the word plants, right? I mean, you can label the album plants, right? But that's, plants, but that's just a name. That doesn't mean much, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have keyworded a lot of pictures, right, with the word plants, that would work. So when I look for keywords, I look for my keywords and I discover, whoops, no, I do not have the keyword plants. So those of you who have keywords could now make an album with all the keyword called Christmas or Thanksgiving or Cokie, the dog. But I only have these keywords, so I don't have plants, right? Nor do I have file names plants, nor do I have description plants. So do you see how useful it would have been had I put some information on my photos? Because plants is not one of the choices. Does that make sense?
So I'd have to make that. I'd have to.
If you want to do an album based on plants, then one option would be to click in the search and call, say, plants, and let's see if Apple recognizes anything called plants. And no. Trees, maybe, right? And for some of you guys, your search is finding more than mine. Mine keeps not finding much. But if you had labeled this and this and this and this and this and this, which I see right now are all plants, had I given them, for example, in here in the title or in the description or in the keyword, the word plant, I'm going to add the word plants as a keyword for me. So I added that. See how now I've created that? Mm-hmm. I just selected 5 things that look like plants and I called it plants. Now, if I try to make a new smart album called plants, then I can do that because the keyword is plants. Okay. Now I say okay, and here we go. These are the ones that I had keyworded as plants. So it needs to be information that you've already given it, or it needs to be information that it knows based on you having assigned people or places or a date range like I did mine. Okay. So if you can you think of another kind of album that you might want to make as a smart album? Anyone else? You can say person, and it might be that you have already labeled people. Like I don't have labeled any people other than Santi, remember? But if you've labeled other people, then I'll say it includes Santi. And what if I had other people? What if I want to say plus, I want Santi, but I want them in the date captured between such and such time. So I want photos of this person, like my mom, between the year, 2020 and the year 2019 and 2020. And I'll say, okay. So you can do that. And then if you have that, so say that I have from 2019. So here, sorry, this is 2019. Say that I had any photos of this person in that time, and I say, okay, well, look at that. It found 64 items, right? Now, does anyone understand why there's a problem here? How many photos does my album have?
68 or something.
Something like 64, 68 photos, remember? So look, if the photo includes that within this date, how can it be finding 64? That's just about all of them, right?
Yeah.
So this is important. The default setting when you make more than one choice is any. So anything that includes him and anything that is in this range will be included. And basically most of my photos are included. So you need to change, it needs to do both. Be that person and in that range. And now it discovered only one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you put more than one, you need to make sure to change this into all. Otherwise it's any that include that, and that basically includes just about everything. So it's just a matter of practicing around and then looking at the choices and going, oh, something's wrong, something's missing. And you might have chosen the wrong day, or maybe you don't have a person with that keyword or any, things like that. You can also search by album. I can say that I want camera model. I'm going to get rid of this choice. Camera model, and it tells me these are all the photos. This is a perfect example. It only shows up here because these are the photos that are in this library. I have photos from, that's my Panasonic, that's an iPhone 6S, a 7, an 8, and 8 Plus, which probably distinguishes every person in this group of photos. Everyone had one of these cameras. These were the cameras we all had. So if I want to find anyone who had the 8 Plus, and I'll say, okay, and that was Marta, I remember. She has that photo. So yeah, Marta's phone was an, so there's all the photos that Marta took that I included in here because she owned an I Plus. So here I can just say Marta's photos on the name of this one, even though the description of it was photos from the iPhone 8, I just know that that's her camera. So that works. Does that make sense? How did I distinguish? Because the date range wouldn't have worked. The title, I didn't have any other data. All I knew is, oh, she owns an 8 Plus. So that gave me any photo taken by Marta that's in here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So the metadata is really important to be adding to all of your photos. So how often do you do that?
It depends on how important it is to me to catalog these photos. If they're photos I don't care about, or they're, then I don't bother too much. But if it's photos I want to be able to retrieve, which is usually for me vacation photos or things like that, then I make sure to add some metadata in there. Although by dates I can find a lot, or by cameras I can find a lot. But for example, many times I take photos of the blackboard after I'm at class with you guys, and in the whiteboards I write things. At the end of class, you all leave, and I go and take photos to make sure I remember what I taught that day, right? So if you look at my real album, I have a lot of boring photos of just whiteboards, right? So how do you distinguish to the computer to find photos of whiteboards? You can't. It wouldn't distinguish between a photo of the whiteboard or a plant. So all I need to do is, when I import them, select them and call them class photos, or whiteboard. I actually call them class photos. And then it's easy for me to search for class photos, throw them in there, and then look for, oh, that icon, that's true. I went over this with them, or I showed them that this day. You know what I mean? So it depends on how much you want to spend your time writing. But as you saw, no matter if you put it in title, description, or however, no matter where, it'll become something searchable that you can make a smart album with. Yes,
Chris?
Chris?
Yeah. So I made a smart album, and I said that person includes Santi, S-A-N-T-I, and then I gave the album the name Santi, DeSanti, and I came up with 0 because that's not how it was worded. But I don't see a way where I can go back into that album and
Fix that.
fix it. You have to just
So
delete it.
I was going to go ahead and go and do that.
Oh,
Thanks
okay.
for asking that. So say that Marta's photos, it shows me that, but I really want her to include someone else's, Marta's and Raul's photos, right? Because whatever, Marta and Raul were the 2 kids that we hosted last year. So this doesn't show the other photos. So I can right click and edit Smart Album.
Oh, right click.
And now I'm going to say, okay, I want photos that include this one, plus I want the camera model, and I look and I know that he had, which I think he was the 8. Okay. So now I say, oh, so it only says 3 because it's got to be both. If I say any, it gives me 24 because now it's going to give me any of iPhone 8s and any that are an iPhone 8 Plus. So now all of the photos that are either by one person or the other will be here. So now I can say Marta and Raul's photos because I know that these were both their cameras, and I'll say okay. And now these are both, right? And actually the 8 is mine, but never mind, just so you get an idea.
Yeah.
So these photos are actually mine and Marta's. But the whole point is you can distinguish by changing, and then you go, oh, that doesn't help me much. You right click, you edit again. Maybe here you wanted a more specific Christmas trip only, so you go edit Smart Album and you go, well, I really wanted only to get the ones that are between December 23rd and January 1st, 24th and January 1st, right? So it's a little bit smaller, so I'll say okay, and then that becomes smaller and it's only 23. So you can right click and edit and change whatever it is that you want. But this is how you can do many Thanksgivings in a row. So if you know Thanksgiving usually happens between the November 23rd and November 28th, pretty much any year it kind of falls into that, then you can have, November 23 through November say 29 or 30, right? So you just kind of give that, and then you say this one's for 2019. Then you say plus, and you want the same idea, but you copy this date. Oh, this is not November 23rd. Sorry, this is 23rd. So then you capture the same date again and again, but for 2018, 2017, 2019, and then you say okay, and then there you go. You have an album with all your Thanksgivings for the last 10 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That gives you a quick capture of a date range, which might mean that it doesn't fit exactly only Thanksgiving, but at least that kind of, if you actually look at a calendar, you can figure out what captures the last 10 years. Okay, so does everyone see that what kind of album you're going to make or someone else is going to make depends on how much information you want. But then it doesn't need to ever be fixed by you. This gets filled up automatically by anything that matches that. That's all. It's not something that you do. If I right click this one, right, and add to edit the Smart Album, that instead of this, I also want a keyword awards, and I'll say okay. Then now it's got plants and awards. But so I don't fill these albums ever. It gets filled with my required data. All right, pretty powerful, depending on how you use it. What I do every year, you know how I told you I have libraries of every year? Instead of scrolling up and down to find May, every year when I start my albums, even if they're empty, I just create a new library and I create 12 albums, one per month, right? So I do from the 1st to the 30 or 31st of that month for every year. And I just leave them there labeled January, February, March, 20. And then when I know that something happened in the summer, I just can quickly go over here and scroll and I go to summer 2020, like not summer, I'll go June 2020. And then I have to scroll over 30 photos or 50 photos instead of 1,000 photos. And so that's how I use the Smart Album myself. It's an example.
So Deanna, those are
Of dates. What's that?
those are smart albums you're making, or just regular albums?
Smart albums, because if they were regular, I'd have to drag them in.
Okay.
And what if later someone else gives me a photo of the summer, and if I didn't drag them in, they wouldn't be there. But if I made them as a smart album and someone else gives me a photo of that dates, they'll go drop themselves in there because they fit the description of that date.
Oh, so it's not just the photos that are existing at the time that you make the album.
Yep.
Any new photos will also go in there.
If I right now import more photos that someone took of the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, which is in those 2 dates, and someone else sends me one, they'll just pop in there because they fit within the dates that
Wow. And just to be clear, any specific photo can exist in multiple albums, right? In every single album,
Yeah.
if you want.
So
Yeah.
these photos belong only one time. Yet they're in this album because I just chose to look for that. They're also in this one because I went for photos of the film festival. They're also in this family one because I put it in there. So this one photo shows up in 3 different albums by now.
Okay.
It exists as one photo only, but it's been included because of me dragging it in or because of the date it was taken, and it's been included in a ton of different albums. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And if you delete it in one album, it deletes them in all the albums?
Yeah, you can delete a photo from this album because it's not a family photo anymore. You decide, no, that doesn't belong in family. So I can right click and remove from album, even though it is family, and it goes from there. But that didn't delete it from this one because it's still, I dragged it into here. So it only deletes it from the album you take it out of. If I delete the photo, it goes away from everywhere because the photo doesn't exist anymore. If I actually delete the photo itself, I trash it. But if I take it from an album because it's not part of the photo family anymore for some reason, then it still isn't with the 3 others. Now, the only one you can't take photos out of is the automatic ones, because if this photo fits in the range of the date, it fits in the range of the date. I can't say, oh no, it doesn't, right? I can only delete it. But there's no album to get rid of because it fits the range of the date. So I can't tell it, oh, this, unless I change the date on that photo, which would, then it would still be there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I can't take an album out of the photos between December 1 and December 25th just because I don't like it, because hey, it was taken at that time. So there it is. It's in that album. You can then choose.
Are the photos that go into your albums of the same quality of the photo that's in the app, or are they like little thumbnails or aliases, or
the ones that are in the album only shows thumbnails always, but it doesn't matter. It's how you see them. And no matter if it's in the phone or in the computer, it doesn't matter. It's when you want to print them, you need the full quality one. So who cares which one it is? There's only one photo in your computer. These are all little previews of that photo, no matter how many times you show it. It's a preview of that photo that you see under memories or under favorites or under whatever, but the photo exists only once. So who cares what the photo is? The moment you want to maybe print it or send it, it always is one photo that it reaches. It is only one photo. It just shows up as little previews in many places. So that one photo is the one it's going to print or send.
Okay.
Diana,
so, yeah.
You said you make a smart album for each year, and then
for each month. I actually make a whole library for each year, but that's extreme. But I only make one per month. But if you have, in your cases, if you have libraries of many years, you can do that. You can do one smart album for all the photos from January 1st to December 31st of 2015. And the same for 2016, 2017, 2018. And then you can quickly jump here on the left to photos of each year instead of having to scroll up and down. But on the other hand, now that we have that top thing here that says years, maybe you just do it that way. So that's why the more help that Apple gives us, the less we need our own albums or smart albums, because it's easier with their album, you know, that's already given to you by years. Now in the Catalina app, you also can go to months, right? So I didn't have months right now, but here I'm doing this whole months thing where in the Catalina, maybe just by going to months, I'll be able to quickly scroll to May of 2020, which I didn't have in Mojave. So maybe even that will be unnecessary in the future when I move up to Catalina. Does that make sense? I'm finding that more and more as photos gets more advanced, the albums I used to make are less necessary, because now by place, by people, by time, Apple is doing that for me. So then the only reasoning to do my own albums is to say, I like it more, I like it less, or it's an event of my heart, like this is a wedding, and how does the computer discover the wedding, or the whiteboard notes, right? So it becomes more important for me to mention that kind of stuff as metadata versus just basic stuff like place, location, people. The computer's doing that for me now. Okay. All right. I want to move on to editing photos. So editing, meaning if a photo is too dark, too light, too wide, and you need to crop it to whatever. You can do so much editing to make a photo better. It used to be that a photo that didn't look good, just that's it. It didn't look good. There was nothing more you could do. But more and more, a photo can look pretty bad, and you can make it look really good with the photo editing purposes. And you don't need to go all the way to the big old Photoshop program to do this. You can make a photo look much better, even, and this program has really good editing capabilities. Photo editing capabilities, meaning post-processing. When you hear these words, the photo exists and you post-process it. You make it better after it's been taken. And all that kind of stuff that used to be you're stuck with what you got, bad photos, toss them. Now, unless it is too bright, like too white, too bright, like you barely see anything, that one's hard to fix. But just about anything from too dark to everything else can be fixed really well. So ready to do some editing, photo editing?
Yep.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to go back to, just because it's easiest to start from photos and photos, right? Just because everyone has it. Normally in my regular life, I start from photos and moments because I like to scroll that way. But we don't have the equivalent of moments in Catalina. So I'm going to go to photos, so that we all have a good way to go. So over here on the, if I scroll down to our third row, I have this little guy here. Not so little, but anyway, this photo here, right? If I look at that photo, it doesn't represent at all the colors that I saw when I was there. And it's kind of washed out, and I'd like to make the colors more saturated, right? So see the color of this red dirt there? That looks more like what it looked like that day, except for that was a pretty muggy day and it didn't really show those bright red colors. So I'd like to try to fix it. Partly I can't because this had sun and this doesn't, but at least I can get more color out of it, right? So let's give it a try. There's a couple of different ways to make a photo big. Many of these you can just double click and it gets big, and click the arrow to get small. Or what was the other way that I showed you at the very beginning? What's the easier way?
Right click.
Hit the space bar, make it big, and space bar to make it small. I'm just kind of reviewing, right? You can also, so double click and space bar, or space bar and back arrow. So they combine. It's not like you need to do it one way or the other. So it's basically double click an arrow or space bar, space bar. Now, once you're in this big mode, you can then edit the photo up there. Or, and this has changed between the Mac or the Mojave or the Mac Catalina. Once you select it, if you hit return, then you're already in the edit mode. So I think that changed for Catalina. You guys will have to tell me. If you select a photo and hit the return here, Did it go into edit mode? I think I heard say that that changed for Catalina. Someone with Catalina, give it a try and tell me.
It went into the
Yes,
edit
it
mode.
did.
It
Yeah,
did?
it
Okay,
did,
so then
yes.
it worked for both. So it's a two-step process. Make it big, and then by hand, select edit to edit it, and then say done to be done. Or, and now I'm going to go to this one, or just select it and hit return, and that moves you into edit mode. So whichever you prefer, okay? Sometimes I find that giving choices confuses people, but making it big with a hit spacebar and then hit it edit over here puts you in the exact same spot then as if you had just from the small hit return. Meaning this isn't to view the photo, this is to edit the photo. See how my whole screen around it kind of became black? That's the edit mode. And I see a completely different thing where on the far left, or not far left, but on the left I see the photo itself. And on the right, I have a whole bunch of choices and options here that I'm gonna show you a little bit. I want to show you again these little arrows, which again, when they are pointing down, this means it's open. And when you click on it, it closes. So this is expanding and collapsing. That little arrow happens all across the world of computers, just so you recognize a triangle tip down or pointing. If I collapse color and I collapse black and white, basically I have a whole list of possible things I can do to my computer, to my phone, to my photo, I'm sorry. But when they first open up, the first time you edit, these three show open. But if you've already been editing, then any combination of them can be open or closed. But this is kind of the beginning settings: light, color, or black and white. We're going to spend more time on this next week and next class. And also next class, we're going to be doing a little bit of video editing. Okay, so that's going to be our last class on Wednesday. But whatever we do right now, I want you guys to, because the class is over relatively soonish in 20 minutes, I want you to know, in case I forget to say it ahead of time, this is your homework. I want you to edit some photos and do it. If you want to really play around with them, do it in this library where you can mess them up because they're not your photos. But don't worry, because anything you do in these photos will not mess up your photo forever. This is all editable. Any change you make, however horrible we may be, we can get rid of. So let me show you really quickly an example for all of us. We're looking at this photo, right? How about I go in here where it says light, and just because, trust me, see this little line? I'm going to drag it all the way to the top. Look at how horrible I made that photo look. So what I did is, you can click in here and drag to the top or to the bottom. Make it move totally to the right. It looks horrible, yeah? I ruined this photo, didn't I? Everyone, go ahead and do that. Make it horrible. Whatever photo you're working with, if you didn't open this one, make it go totally all the way to the right. Terrible photo.
Deanna, could you please repeat how you got to this function screen?
Okay.
From the
So
photo.
I chose a photo. Let me actually back up. I chose a photo, whichever, and I hit the return key. And I get into this mode. Did that work for you, Marcia?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Now I went to the top choice that by default, if you've never been here, it shows opened up. Put my mouse in here and drag it to the right. And it got really light and horrible. Now, let's say that I say done. See this big yellow thing? I'll say done. And there you go. My photo has been utterly messed up, hasn't it? Whoa, yuck. Now, instead of despairingly tearing my hair out, I can go, oh, never mind. All of this is infinitely changeable and editable. I did not ruin my photo. Let me show you. Let's open it again. By the way, can you tell here in the little bit of white that I have a new icon? That icon means it's edited, but whatever. Say that I close my computer, I come back the next week and I go, God, I really don't like what I did to that photo. Well, open it up again. I'm going to select it and hit return. And what I can do over here is I can revert to original. See the top left where I'm pointing? Revert to original. And that's how I'm back to my original photo. So these changes aren't set in stone. It's not like you grab a big Sharpie marker on them. This is stuff that I can keep changing. They're called non-destructive modifications, okay? So I can keep changing and changing. All right. So now you've lost the fear of doing stuff to your photos, right? Because you can see that it doesn't stick. So now it's it's much safer to do this now to your own photos. Even if you don't want to play around with these, you can play with your own photos, because worst case scenario, just revert back to original and either start all over again or let it be and go to another one, yeah? Okay, so now in this mode, you can either know what you're doing and use all of the really fancy, complicated sliders. I'm gonna move this guy over there. Or you can give it a try before we even go to any of these. Some people are asking me about the auto words, but if you forget all of these auto words, there's one little magic wand. See how this looks like a little bit of a magic wand kind of shape? A little ding. If you click on that one, ding, Photos decided what it thought was a good correction. What do you think? You're not sure if it changed a lot? Well, let's see. This thing shows me before and after, before and after. When I click on it, that's before, this is after. This is before, this is after. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think now? You can click and let go to see your before and after. What do you think? Is it better or worse?
Better.
Better.
Now, this isn't always going to work. Many times the computer makes choices you don't like, right? But it's a good button to start with, because what if it's great and it fixed all your problems? Yeah? So if you like it, fine. If you don't, you can revert to original and start yourself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good little first button to click. And I'm going to revert to original, but I want you guys to watch over here what's happening. Like, put your eyes on this part of my computer, and now I'm going to click again on that magic thing, that magic button. See how things changed here and here? It made changes that I could have made on my own, but the computer decided to make some changes for me. And if I don't like it, I can either now from this point keep correcting, or I can hit revert to original and start all over again myself. Your choice. So now, just so that we learn what some of these things do, go ahead and revert to original. So if you did try the little magic remove auto enhancements, or if you hover over it, auto enhance, I'm just saying it looks like a magic wand because of the little thing, and because in Photoshop there's a little thing called the magic wand that looks like that. But basically it's your huge auto feature. When you sit revert to original, it's gone from here, because now you're back to your original. You have nothing to revert to. And now we can try the individual autos of each one of these things. So if I'm not sure if I like it better there or there or there, I can just click auto right there. And the computer thinks that's a good spot for it. That's a little auto of just that. It's not moved the color, it's only moved that. And if I don't like its choice, I hit the arrow, and that's my revert. So auto, that's what the computer thinks, revert. And now I can just say, well, I want to choose myself. So I keep going and I make it really dark or really light. And I kind of do, well, I don't know, maybe that's where I like it. Okay, so this is you making choices. Okay. All right, so say that I go with the auto choice. Then I have to hit auto again. There's more to this. What if you've taken Photoshop classes and you know how to handle light really well? Well, then under options, you have even more choices. So for people who really understand how to handle light, look, I open options and whoa, I can change a lot of stuff that I could not do unless I had Photoshop before. And now I can go in here and more specifically only work on the things that are exposure or contrast. So this is very flat, it has no contrast. So maybe I can just increase the contrast. and that's all I need. So things that are dark go darker, things that are light go lighter, and I immediately made it better. But you need to understand the meanings of all of these. Does that make sense? The only way to understand the meanings of all of these many times is just to try them out, zero them out, and then try it. Whoa, that looks weird. Oh, this looks not so weird. Or make the black point better or the black point lighter. So you just have to play with each one. Or if people are really interested in knowing how to handle all of these guys, that's the kind of stuff that I work on in the Photoshop class. You learn it there, but then you do it here with much easier tools, right? Brilliance. Okay. So you end up moving some things here and there and there. And by the time you're done, you've made choices that make this thing look very different beyond whatever the auto might have done. Okay. So you move things around, and I'm just throwing them out because I'm showing you options. And that's what you end up making your choice be. All right. And now you can go here and go before and after, before and after, before and after. And if you like it better, then cool, then you leave it like that. So I'm not saying you're gonna have to be using that or not, but I'm just showing you how there are everything from absolutely automatic to completely handmade that you make different choices, all right? And then you go down to color, and again, maybe you just make things more colorful like that, or you maybe hit the auto. Or maybe you open the options and then you have your own choices of what to make automatic. Anyway, so you have like the big choices or the small choices. And then you keep going before and after, before and after, before and after. And just so you know, you guys, this looks very bright and enhanced, but this is actually what it looked like. This blue was really intensely blue. I remember being very shocked by how blue it looked. And the colors of these walls were, this is very washed out. This is much more like what the colors were, the greens and the reds. So although it might look extreme to us at the beginning, when you step back for a while and look at it later, you'll discover, oh, this wasn't so bad, right?
Let's do a field trip.
This horseshoe bend at the very end of the color. This is the Colorado. So anyway, there's a ton more that you can play around with here. Right now, what matters to me is to show you a few more of the other choices beyond this, and then we'll get into details about this next week. Some of the details about this next week, and then some of this, and then we're going to have to be also doing other stuff next week, like movies. But the most important for me is not so much teaching you how to do corrections, rather to make sure that you understand that when we make these choices, when you say done, there is the now edited photo. And then the question is, well, what happened to my original? Okay, so like Yolanda is saying, well, should we make a duplicate? Is the original saved? Some of those questions are already said. Yeah, the original is saved. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to go back and say revert to original, right? So the original is saved. But what if you wanted the old version and the new one, and you want to have both? Can you ever see a reason for that? Nope.
No.
Yes. Maybe.
Nope.
Your
Well,
teacher.
I could see a reason, yeah.
Me too.
I could see a reason, and one small example would be, for example, I could see a reason where I might want, say, this photo, and then I can see a reason where I might want to take just a photo of him. And if I crop this photo to just show him, I would have lost the photo of him next to that pond. So this is an example of, well, I might want two. Or I might want this photo of the whole group, but I want another photo of just him. I don't know. I'm just trying to give you an example of reasons why you might want one or the other at the same time. And it doesn't always happen. I might want a photo of this group in Santa Barbara, and I might want another one of just our faces, just because it's a memory of our faces, right? A close-up. So let's give that example. Say that I go scroll all the way to the very bottom, and this photo here would be a good candidate for some cropping, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now this photo is a photo of Santa Barbara, and whoever took it, someone who was walking on the street who we said, give here, have the camera, which always happens that they end up doing a weird photo because they don't understand we don't want a bunch of sky. But here we go. At least for Martha's family who doesn't live in Santa Barbara, this also shows sky and ocean and palm trees. So maybe they want both, right? So let's first make a duplicate. So I'm going to right click and say duplicate one photo. So now I have the original and version 2. See that? Now guys, this is truly a second photo. This is not a preview of a second, but this is actually increased, and my library has 2 versions of this photo, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So this is 2 different versions of this photo now. If I want to edit it, let's do that. Let's make the duplicate, and then I'm at version 2. I'm going to hit return. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop. So up here at the very top, see where my mouse is at the very top? I'm going to click on crop right there. And crop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these corners, and I'm going to grab the bottom corner, and I'm going to grab the right corner, and I'm going to do just a photo of my family group around her. And I haven't like really done anything other than close up, okay? The computer did the whole zoom in which it kind of deleted the rest. Now this is not done yet. I haven't really cropped it yet because I can still go, well, I'd rather see a bit more still of the bottom, or I'd rather see less and close into the group. Okay, so until I'm done, I can keep, you know, changing. I'm going to crop out the hat. I'm going to crop out so I can keep working it in, working it out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, no, I went too small. I want to just back out again, so I can just pull out, and there's the photo still. Okay, I keep pulling out, and even though I don't see it, there it is. All right, so you're not stuck, but this is an example of, okay, I wanted to crop in a little bit. There we go. And now I'm saying that I'm done. All right, so now I have version 1 and version 2 of the same photo. Sometimes you really, it's just bad. You want to fix it. You know, I didn't need 2 versions of that one. The other one was bad. But in this case, yeah, I wanted 2 versions of this one. So you would then have to duplicate it to be able to have both stay and both be valid photos. Any questions about that?
Diana, I was just going to mention, because I do a lot of editing, is when you edit a photo, and then you save it again, you lose some of the pixels. That is, if there's 3 shades of green, it make just make 2 shades of green. That's a bad example, but
yeah, I know what you mean. But let me stop you there, because not in this kind of editing. This is all non-destructive modifications. So.
Oh, really?
Where you do your editing in Photoshop and Lightroom, where do you do them?
I do it. I don't use Photoshop. I just use this.
You use this, okay. So in this case, the fact that I can open this up, go to edit, and say revert to original, everything is back to all of the millions of colors and everything, because all of these are not actual pixel modifications in this program. And if you haven't done this, there's other programs in Photoshop. You can do things that affect the pixels and lose the quality like she's talking about, or not. Photos does only non-destructive modifications. So it only does the kind of modifications that if all you takes is do undone and you're back to the complete photo. Okay, now, if you did notice when I approached really, really close, if I try to approach really, really close here, in this approach, the quality didn't, see how suddenly the quality is weird? Look at the faces and it's all kind of mushy and weird. You see that? Well, that has to do with that this photo didn't have enough resolution to be cropped this much. And when you crop it this much, it kind of has to force it, and the light wasn't enough, and it's beginning to look a little bit more like a painting now. You see what I mean? Go ahead and force it. And maybe this photo was taken with a camera that didn't have the quality, or the light wasn't right, or whatever. So you are, if this is what you say done and you use, then this is a lower quality than the big one. But I can always undo it and go back to all my quality. It isn't lost from the image, is what I'm meaning. It's just lost in this version. This is going to print out less quality in comparison than the other one. Does that make sense? Because
No,
I
that's
zoomed
right.
in too much.
Yeah, that's, I guess, what I was trying to say, but I didn't say it very well.
Yeah, no, but it's important because in a lot of other programs, you do lose the quality and then you completely do lose it. You can't go back. If you try to bring this back, it would remain lost quality, only bigger, but
Right.
not in this program. But
Yeah.
this
What
zooming in that I did, the photo didn't have enough quality to zoom in this much. I highly recommend, yeah, you first make all your changes before you hit done. You hit done when you're done with all your changes. And when you do that, that photo, if it added or lost, or like I can keep editing, I can open it again and now make the color much more intense, or I can turn it into a black and white photo, or whatever it is that I do. Now I'm making some big changes here, right? When I say done, I've got a black and white photo. All of this is reversible just by going to edit and reverting back, and I have the original.
Diana,
Yeah.
so on the photo you selected, for instance, does it show the photo size, or can you make it a particular size in this?
Yeah, so that's interesting. For those of you who
In resolution too.
For those of you who understand, the question is if you've taken, Photoshop classes or stuff like that. Oh my God. Are those alarms in the camera that goes off? A car? Someone's car alarm is going off next to me, and it's like, when you look at the info in the metadata, that's where you can discover like what the pixel size is, what the megabyte size is, how. So here, for those of you who understand metadata at the level of how I teach it in Photoshop, you could see the quality and if it's high resolution or low resolution and such and so forth. It's beyond what I can teach here, but if you want to see the quality of this photo in what I call 100%, meaning the real quality of what it's going to look like when you print it, then when you go over here, see this slider? If you click on this little guy right there, like I click on the left, it's in the middle. When I click it one side, see how it says 100%? And then I click it even more, that says 400%. At 400%, it's showing me pixels, like it's showing me like the components of the image, and it's really bad. You click on this and show it at 100%, that would show you about how good that photo is and how it's going to print, okay? And in this case, the sky and everything in the back looks pretty good. It looks like that's where the camera focused, and whoever took this picture, because of how they focused, they didn't really focus well on the people. See how they took so much sky that the focus is good on the trees and the skies, but it's kind of weird on the people. And that's because whoever took this photo didn't really probably, they probably pointed to the sky and then brought it down and the focus was set on the sky, who knows, but it was just someone who was walking on the sidewalk who offered to take the picture. But anyway, you got to live with what you have. So that kind of shows you, that 100% shows you whether it's a good photo. And if you're not happy with it, then maybe you just say, well, I'm not going to bother with that one. I'm going to go to another picture of that moment and print another one because, that one has better quality. So now I'm going to.
If you wanted a particular size on that photo, like.
If I go to 100% on this one, see how she's high quality on this one. Look at the hairs. You can see every little hair. You can see her eyebrows and everything. And what's off and weird is the tree, because this one did get a good focus on the person, okay? So, and it's the same camera. It's the same iPhone 8 camera as before. It's just whoever handled this one, I would like to say myself, knew where to focus versus whoever took this one. So, that photo is doomed to be fun and cute, but not as good as this one because it was correctly focused. So in this one, you can see in this one here, I have, for those of you who understand metadata, I have 3,000 by 4,000, you know, there's a lot of pixels in here, versus if you look at this one, by the time I was done cropping it, edit, crop, by the time I kind of got in and cropped and left only this teensy little bit left, then, and said done, then I'm down to very few pixels here. So I just don't have the quality. But I'm gonna stop talking about that because that's the kind of stuff people who take my, you know, my editing photo understand pixels. For the rest of you guys, just keep an eye on it and look at it. Does it,
How do you open that info box? How do you open that info box? I keep missing that.
That's the, okay. So either you go to window info or this little icon here, wherever it shows up is always that info.
Oh, okay. So it's like a little circle.
And off. Okay. All right. So
If somebody says that they want you to send a photo, but it can't be larger than 1200 DPI.
yeah, I can spend hours talking to you about DPI and photos and stuff like that. I just can't.
Okay.
It's beyond. Ask me next week.
Okay.
But, yeah. This, because this doesn't show you DPI. This only shows you pure pixels. It's a calculation you need to make in this program, or you need to open a different program to get that information.
Okay.
So what's the aspect? And it says freeform.
What's that? What's that?
The aspect.
Aspect ratio.
Under crop.
That has to do with cropping. So you can crop this photo into 8 by 10 and it gives you what it would look like, or 4 by 3 or 3 by 2. It's a different, you know, when you pick a 5 by 7 image, it has a different aspect than a 4 by 6. And those are the basic formats that you would normally print something to. 4 by 3, 3 by 5, some of them show less. And so if you know you're going to go into 8 by 10, then you're going to 8 by 10 from it, you click on that. Even if you still want to crop in and show less, it's showing you the aspect ratio, means it shows you kind of how you need to crop it to make it fit into a 8 by 10. Or if you want it as a 3 by 2, it'd be the same as a 4 by 6, right? So 4 by 6 is fatter than a 5 by 7, which is longer and thinner kind of thing.
So but what's freeform?
What's that?
Freeform.
And freeform is what we did before. It's us going, well, I just want to do something that's completely free. Well, now I'm not in freeform mode, but freeform means I might want to do a photo of just that, you know, which is completely freeform. It doesn't fit into any norm of aspect ratios as far as we know it. But you might have a collage where you want a long thin piece of this only. And
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so guys, play around. As you can see, nothing is bad, nothing is terrible. You can just edit and revert to original, right? So play around with these things and have some fun. And I have questions for me for Wednesday of how to edit. So you basically select it and hit return, or select it and double click and then hit edit, and then just play, see what all those options are. And then you might have questions, specific questions for me about editing. Okay.
Deanna, do you have time for a question?
A very quick one. I have a class starting in 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So what I would love to be able to do is
my alarms.
To listen to this recording and watch what you're doing, while on a separate screen I can actually manipulate my photos. If I got a separate monitor, would I be able to do that, or would I need a separate computer or an iPad?
A separate monitor is fine. A separate computer would be one too many. Okay. An iPad, a phone that you can see big enough. Your TV, for a lot of people, the TV works as a separate monitor. So if you have a laptop, you can buy cables that allow you to connect to your TV, and then you have your TV as one thing and your laptop is another monitor. So I don't want to get too much into the details of that right now because I have to run, but ask me next week and I can give you a little bit more detail. But basically, yeah. Oh, that's true. I have to help people get to their own photos. Okay, quit this photos program, file quit, And then, hold on, I need to share this screen again. So file quit to get rid of these photos, and then at the very least, and in this case, Yolanda, if you open up your Finder window, go to the Pictures folder. And for those of you who don't have the Pictures folder, go to Downloads and double click on the house, and then go to your Pictures folder. And then you'll find the one that's just called Photos Library, the topmost one. Yours is called Default Photos Library at the very top, Yolanda. And anyone else, go, you can also right click here with the, or click with the option showdown, open, and then you can choose your Photos Library, the one that's System Photos Library. So Yolanda, if you didn't follow that, you can share your screen with me, and anyone else who needs to can see from hers to go open your, okay. So there you go, you're in Pictures, and you need to find the one that's called scroll to, you're in the iLife class, but you need to scroll over here where you see iLife, keep scrolling until you see your just photos. So scroll to the P, there it is, and you have them called as default up to the, no, up. You're fine, you're fine, you're seeing it, don't move it. Middle of there, it says Default Library under Bert Yola. Yeah, that's yours. Double click that one. That's the one that is your Photos Library, Owens. Oh no.
Cancel?
Cancel. Then do you have one called Photos Library? Go back to the Finder, yeah? Well, you have one more that says Photos Library underneath. Two more. One more. Down.
Oh, here. This one.
No, that's Photo Booth. No, one more.
This one.
Yeah, double click that one.
Switch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me make sure it opens up. Hold on.
Should I open it?
No, double click, go right click on it. Over here, Photos Library, right click. Because I'm not sure, I think yours was the default one. So go inside default, open. I think yours was the default one, was the good one. Let's see.
Yeah, okay, all right.
There you go. Okay, good. Okay. You can stop sharing. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, is everyone set with their libraries and their photos again?
Thank you, Deanna, so much.
All right.
Awesome.
See you guys next Wednesday.
Yeah, all right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.